Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side Podcast. We are live on this Sunday night with a lot of things to talk about. The NBA, the Celtics beating the Lakers, SGA outdueling Jokic. Is he the MVP front runner now? The Cavaliers' big win over the Bucks. And then NFL stuff happened. Free agency technically starts tomorrow, but we got Davante Adams to the Rams tonight. We got DK Metcalf to the Steelers. We got Harold Landry signing a big contract, surprisingly, to go to the Patriots, and a lot of other moves, mostly re-signings. Fellas, how we doing? And we got Mr. John here with us to talk about DK Metcalf and George Pickens.
Mr. Tortorelli. No, it was a pretty sad Saturday, truthfully. Shout out to Dehls and his Boston Celtics. Handled business against my Lakers. Pray for LeBron. Hopefully he's okay. That being said, Alex Pereira, one of the heights of the century, unfortunately. 11 for 11 on takedown defenses. Doesn't matter. Still loses the fight. Tragic. I was heartbroken. It was a rough Saturday. I'm not going to lie. Plus, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Lakers versus Nets. Had these tickets for a month. No LeBron.
Dehls.
Wow.
If I was you, I would talk nasty. Personally, if I was you, just because the way Drew was talking,
LeBron got hurt.
The way Joel was talking, I wouldn't come up here and I wouldn't be a nice guy. That's just me. If I was in your shoes, you played the humble card for a little bit. The way they was talking, if I was you, I would come here and talk my shit. But I had a good weekend. Watched a lot of good hoops. College, the tournament is starting up soon. The conference tournaments, the schedule is set, so I've been excited about that. Cavs, belt the ass, another W. Memphis has been playing good, so I've just, been enjoying some good basketball. I'm feeling good about myself,
And you're back on Twitter.
I'm back. Like I'm excited. I'm back. Just dropped a banger tweet. It's like 8K, so I'm back as fuck, man.
Much needed break for you.
Yeah,
John Moran, it took a while, but honestly, it didn't really take that long after you tweeted. Maybe like a week and a half.
Yeah, something like that. Now, back-to-back 30 balls, baby. We're here.
Dehls, I feel like we got to ask you the important questions because the Celtics beat the Lakers, right? And I feel like, you probably subscribe to this notion that we have seen Jayson Tatum and Luka Doncic play head-to-head for 5-6 matchups now. And in most of them, who do you think has looked like the better player? And therefore, has that formed your opinion on who you think the better player is?
Well, we already know who the better player is. We've known who the better player is. Tatum's been the better player this year, by pretty comfortably too. But it's not just Jayson Tatum. It's the duo, right? It's Jayson Tatum and it's Jaylen Brown. Luka can have Kyrie. That's cool. Luka could have LeBron James. That's cool. But them as a duo, Tatum and Brown. I mean, be honest with me, Joel. Drew, you're in this conversation too. Is there anyone that puts fear into Luka's heart more than Jaylen Brown?
No. Al Horford.
Maybe Al Horford. That's the only other one. And in today's NBA, you're only as good as your weakest defender. And we could talk about Jayson Tatum. We could talk about Jaylen Brown. But maybe the number one reason why the Celtics won that game was because of Al Horford. I thought Al did a great job in the finals last year when switched on to Luka. I feel like for a majority of his career, especially on the Celtics, if he's getting matched up someone who is big, strong, and physical, he could usually hold his own. Even on the perimeter, he has really good feet for a guy his size and his age. It's when he's facing those smaller, quicker guards, Donovan Mitchell, Andrew Nembhard, that's when he really struggles, right? That's when he really struggles on the perimeter because he just doesn't have the foot speed to do it. But when Luka Doncic was constantly trying to switch on to him, for the most part, in the fourth quarter, he started finding his way. But he was either trying to just outmuscle Al Horford when he was going down towards the basket, or he was stepping back. But Al Horford was quick enough on his feet to be able to close out to most of those three-point shots. The first three quarters was a really ugly showing from Luka. In the fourth, the Lakers made a comeback. He was on fire. It was like 90% true in the fourth. But for those first three quarters, it looked like what the finals look like. And that's why, as a Celtics fan, I'm not worried about the Lakers. Like, the Lakers are not a team that really scares me because I don't think there's any other team in the NBA that has the defenders we have to guard Luka and to guard LeBron. I mean, we just talked about it. Nobody does a better job on Luka than Jaylen Brown. Jayson Tatum, listen, it's LeBron James. He's going to get his. But there's not a lot of wings, JT's size, his strength, his athleticism to guard on the perimeter, and the size when he's, at the rim to be able to put two hands up and really be able to alter LeBron's shot. So all of the defenders we have are switchable and they're strong and they're really meant to guard these bigger wings, right? Even a Drew Holiday, I feel like, does better against bigger, stronger guys than smaller athletic guards. So, this is what I expected. They're the number one duo in the NBA for a reason. You could keep saying all of these other duos, Giannis and Dame. Oh no, they got smoked by fucking 20 again tonight when they had some real competition. You want to say they're better than them? That's cool. Luka and LeBron, I don't know. They went up against an actual elite duo and they kind of got locked up. LeBron played like shit too. Didn't hit a three, I don't believe. But again, like the Lakers team didn't have Jackson Hayes, so I want to give them their respect. But Boston
or Rui,
they're better. They're just better. They're straight out better.
Yeah, Dehls. Yeah.
LeBron played like shit is wicked. I wouldn't say he played like shit. I think he shot like shit. I won't disagree. Luka, up until that fourth quarter, I would argue he didn't play his best. Fourth quarter, he came alive. I said it to you before you guys started to pull away in the third quarter. I don't like the matchup versus you guys. I think in a series, you guys easily match up the best against us. And then we watched that third quarter, and that ended up being the difference in the game. You guys definitely put belt to ass in that third. We couldn't hit a bucket for the first 6 minutes. We didn't score in that quarter. You guys were able to go ahead and take control of that. And then the fourth quarter, we watched together. The fourth quarter struggles continue. But again, you guys were able to close out this game. You guys had a large enough lead that you built up in that third quarter that fourth wasn't as much of a strain as it could have been. But again, we've watched it in multiple games versus the Cavaliers, versus the Nuggets, versus the Lakers. Yeah, you were able to close out two of those three, but in one of those, against probably the strongest competition, you weren't able to. That's just one thing that I'm looking at come down the stretch, come playoff time, how you guys are going to look in crunch time. But to stay on this game, got to give you guys your credit. You guys definitely shot the ball, not even at your best, because we shot better from three-point percentage than you guys did. But I just think that in that third quarter, you guys were just able to stay consistent, keep playing your brand of basketball, and your defense really ended up being the difference in this game. I think the Lakers played fine defensively. I think offensively, it really just comes down to that third quarter as to why the game ended up being the result that it was. Credit to JB, credit to Tatum. Tatum was incredible in this game. I just think that if the Lakers shot a little bit better, which ironically we shot well, we might have a different result. That third quarter really could have went different. The game could have been different. But really, my strong takeaway is I hope LeBron's okay. I really hope that he's healthy 100% come playoff time. I know that we have a lot of games up and coming in these 2 weeks. People are trying to say that he's doing this for a reason. He's not trying to be out there. I think that's nonsense. If LeBron's hurt, LeBron's hurt. I'm really upset because I'm not going to be able to see him tomorrow. But the big picture is we have him come playoff time. Obviously, that's the most important. But Luka Doncic, I saw the version of him that I wanted to see in the fourth quarter, and it obviously was a lot closer of a game when he was playing like himself. In a series, listen, I'm not going to say that. I saw last year against the Celtics, you guys did a great job of limiting Luka. Al Horford did a great job in switching onto Luka and playing good defense. Jaylen Brown definitely has something inside Luka's head that makes him a little bit uneasy as opposed to other defenders. But again, we saw him get more and more comfortable as the game went on. That leaves me optimistic if we were to match up. But again, got to give credit where credit is due. Tatum and Jaylen Brown were definitely the best duo last night.
Joel. Luka fan. I want to hear
Joel, before you go, do you know Luka's record the last 10 games against Boston?
3-7.
1-9.
Okay. I thought it was bad. Well, so now you're telling me it's really bad. I think when we talk about all-time great players, there's always a certain team they struggle against. Early LeBron struggled against the Celtics, especially in the playoffs. You had Giannis in the playoffs against the Heat for a couple of their matchups. And I think right now, Luka kryptonite, his kryptonite's the Celtics. They have defenders everywhere, and he doesn't play his best brand of basketball against them. And it's been that way for a while now, since they've gotten really, really good. But I also don't think this is the best Luka that we've seen. I don't think Luka looks the same. And I think it's been a while since he looked the same since last year before the start of the playoffs. And that's not saying that he's not great, because he's still a great player and he has made adjustments to his game. But if you've been watching Luka for a year, it just feels like certain spots, they're tougher for him to get to. And you look at the percentage of shots that he has at the rim. This year, it's at 15.6%. Last year it was at 16%. But what's went down have been the drives. This year he's at 14.7 drives per game. Last year he was at 17.8 drives per game. So that's about, a 3.5 drive difference. And when we talk about early Luka, his second year when he was already an MVP candidate, 30.7% of his shots were at the rim, and he was driving to the basket almost 21 times per game. So I feel like he's definitely traded off the speed and agility for being more of a post player, but I don't know if that's where he's at his best. I think it is at his best where he is slimmer and he's able to play faster. But right now, I don't think it's his weight that's really bothering him. I think it's the hamstring. And then he was playing with a bad back yesterday, and he had a heat pad on it, I think, in like the third quarter before he got into the game in the fourth quarter. So I don't think he's playing at his best still. And I don't know when that same Luka is going to show up. But until that Luka shows up, I don't think he is as dominant on a game-to-game basis as these other players at the top.
You said he was going to show up against Boston.
Tweeted it out.
He did.
He did kind of.
Fourth quarter he showed up, Riv. I'll give him that. Fourth quarter he showed up. First three quarter he was out there.
When it's dropping 30, not showing up.
This is funny. This is insane.
Joel, when we were watching the game yesterday, you and I came to the same conclusion. We're watching early on, and when he switches on to Horford, all he simply has to do is drive to the basket. Now, I'll give it to Horford. He did a great job of staying in front of Luka for a good portion. However, there were a lot of times where it seemed as if he was trying to do too much. Instead of just go up, get an attempt, either one, make it, two, get to the free throw line. It seemed as if he was hesitant. He was trying to pass the ball, and he wasn't looking to get his. Later in the game, we saw him start to be more aggressive, start to take the attempts at the basket, and that's when we really saw him start to get going. I think that it was a matter of overthinking the matchup, trying to make a play when it wasn't necessary, just needing to know when to go up. And I spoke about that earlier when Luka first came to the Lakers. We saw him start to get more and more comfortable. I think he kind of reverted back a little bit in these first few quarters, but when LeBron went out, it seemed as if he was a lot more confident in just putting up a basket, and that's when we really saw him start to take over. It needs to be now in his mind while LeBron's gone, and then inevitably when LeBron does come back, I'm still Luka. I still know that this is an efficient shot. I know that I'm still the best offensive player. It does not matter who's matched up on me. I need to take advantage of these mismatches.
The thing about Luka is I feel like his blow-up games now, when he's playing at an elite level, they're very reliant on shooting threes. If he's not having a good night from three, he's not going to have one of those dominant performances where I feel like other players, they're not so reliant on the three ball falling. And because Luka, I think he's just lost some burst, and I think he eventually will get back to himself, but he's just not there right now. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not watching the same player. I'm not watching the same dominant player that I was watching last year before he got injured. It's just not the same. And I don't know when that player's going to come back, but right now, I think the lack of burst off the dribble, like you mentioned about Al Horford, I think that's something that, he should consistently be beating him off the dribble and getting to the basket. And he doesn't. He settles. And dating back to the finals matchup, how many times was Horford on him and he settled for a tough three? I just think right now that's what he's dealing with.
I think you mentioned something important, Joel. I don't know if there's going to be a moment this season where he's going to get time to heal up. I think right now, especially with LeBron out, playoffs are gearing up. We got like 15, 20 games left, and you're still – the Lakers aren't comfortably the second seed. You're still hovering between 2 to 4. I think you're like a game or two above 3 right now. So, all these games are going to matter in terms of just placing your seeding. And I think for Luka, with LeBron out, he has to kind of ramp it up. But I want to give all the credit in the world to Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, because not only did they show up on the defensive side, but they literally dominated on the offensive end. I mean, it was a complete get to the rim whenever they wanted to, get to the mid-range spot, exploit the mismatch, be good in transition, take advantage of the opportunities that they had. I mean, like Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, this is like their third game in like a week or two where they've combined for 70-plus points, and they've woke up and decided we're going to go dominate this game. And they took this one as a challenge. Boston Lakers is a historic rivalry, especially when both teams at the top of the conference. You want to wake up and have this game feel like one of those get-ups games. And I feel like Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum came to show up. I feel like Luka was struggling in the first half. and that was partly one of the reasons why they were down. Also, the Lakers defensively just couldn't figure out the Jays. I mean, they were letting them get an easy mismatches. I didn't see a ton of doubles. I didn't see a ton of, switches and good switches, I want to say. And yeah, the Lakers didn't have Jackson Hayes, but the Celtics didn't have Porzingis. So realistically, it looks like a fine matchup to me, and I do think going forward with Luka, I don't know when he's going to be able to get healthy or when he's going to be able to, heal up from whatever injury it is, whether it be the knee or the back. I did see him take a fall and he was holding his back for a little bit throughout the game, and I did see the moment where he had the healing pads on. It's really just he's in a tough situation where he has no real, especially from last summer playing, overseas and then coming straight to play. Like, there is no real time for him to get healthy like he needs to if he is actually really, really hurt. But credit to the Jays, credit to Boston. They came out, they showed out. The Jays did what they needed to do. And, they've probably heard the best duo in the league talks, and they probably are frustrated why people don't put them in number one. And they just came and they showed
for you, Riv? Where would they be for you?
Probably one, because they won the chip. I'd probably put them one.
Have some damn respect. Tell these guys.
Hindsight is 2020. Riv would have been on a podcast putting up number 3.
I'll probably put
Giannis
one.
and Dame.
Giannis and Dame. I'll probably put them 3.
Riv, fine matchup, but we didn't have Rui or Jackson. They did miss KP. I agree with you. At the same time, they had everyone else.
I mean, you had everybody else but Rui and Jackson Hayes. They had
And then
everybody.
LeBron also mitched down the stretch.
John,
They got to a 4-point game without LeBron being in there.
I agreed. That's why I
Despite the
respect us for
Celtics
that.
outplaying them up until that stretch, pretty much.
John,
agree.
what more does Jayson Tatum have to do?
That's a great question, Joel. This was a great game by him
Stick
and
with me.
Jaylen Brown. It was an impressive win nonetheless. Another moment in time where we've kind of seen the Celtics have a good formula to defending Luka, as you guys highlighted so well. Luka's coming off that left calf injury, which he's still trying to get comfortable playing off of, being able to trust his body, and he's also seemingly playing his way into shape in a brand new situation. So it hasn't been the same Luka, of course. And to go along with that, the Lakers have had to embrace that next minute mentality. A lot of guys having to come into the lineup. Trey Jemison coming in off the bench, contributing a little bit. No Jackson Hayes in this game. It changes the entire blueprint of the lineup because now you have to play LeBron up and Luka up. So I believe that with how thin the Lakers rotation is, that core 6 to 7 guys, they, in a game like this, missing 2.5 starters at a certain point in time, 3 with LeBron going out, it kind of compromised what they have been doing so well up until this point. But I will say, kind of in the bigger picture view, they need to make sure LeBron comes back 100%. They should take their time with him resting. I know they have the Nuggets and the Bucks, but really what matters more than that is LeBron being healthy for the playoffs. We saw back in 2019 with the groin injury how much time he missed. You don't want to play with that because of how easy it is to re-aggravate. But in the meantime, Dehls, I mean, Celtics look damn good. And how about Payne Pritchard and Derek White a couple nights before, man?
Second best.
40 apiece. Wish they showed up.
We should talk about the real duo.
That's going to be a great
Pritchard and
trivia
Derek
question.
White.
Second best team in the East. That was talk.
Second best team. That's facts. Cleveland's got it right now. I will say I thought there's a lot of talk on the internet, and it's just the internet. I don't think it's real about the minutes that Tatum played, Brown, Horford. Like, the Celtics treated this as a playoff game. They did. And I think they should have. There's really, before this game, there was 2 games that matter on the Celtics schedule the rest of the season. It's this Lakers game Saturday, and it's OKC on Wednesday. Other than that, you're not playing anybody else. Like, you have the Knicks in April, but with all due respect, handle business there. Other than that, we don't got anybody else to really play for. We're playing the last 15 games, teams that we won't be seeing in the playoffs more likely than not. So I do want to see these games where you're playing a possible finals opponent, a possible ECF opponent. Yeah, let's see these playoff minutes. Tatum played the entire first quarter. He played into the second quarter. Al Horford played 37 minutes. Jaylen Brown played 42 minutes. And I think it's dope that Mazzulla allowed that, number one, because he even said after the game, he got asked about the minutes, and he said, like, listen, it's Lakers Celtics. Like, this is the biggest rivalry in the NBA. It's the most historic one, and these guys are playing for their legacy. So, yeah, Jayson Tatum, if it's a 4-point game down the stretch, you're not coming out in the second half. You need to prove, and you need to go out there and win that game. So I thought it was dope that they played the heavy minutes. I thought it was dope that they treated it like a playoff game, because you don't get a lot of opportunities like this to really ready yourself for a playoff series. Once the playoffs are here, the playoffs are here, and it's hard to replicate that atmosphere and, just that overall, like, attention to detail you need. So I think it was important that they did it. And I wouldn't be surprised that again Wednesday against OKC.
Big game, Dehls. Big game.
That is a big game too. Yeah.
game.
My goodness. The Celtics, no, they're amazing. We know that. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum showed up in a major way. Now the Lakers, though, they were playing really well. They were on a win streak, and this snapped their win streak.
Luka's
now, Riv,
biggest win streak in his career.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, I had no idea. Now, Riv, the other day we were talking about the Warriors, and
Yes.
the Lakers were one of those teams that you put over the Warriors. Are you having some regret in doing that? Like, do you look at this Lakers team and you say the Warriors can't be over them? Like, how do you feel now after the big win over the Pistons?
I'm like, what are we getting at?
Pistons are playing great. There's like top 5 in net rating for weeks.
Yeah, I think the Lakers are better than us for sure. I think we just don't have the wing defenders to match up with LeBron and Luka, and we're not physical enough. I do think we'll make it a series, but I wouldn't say I'm ready to say we're better than the Lakers.
Kuminga, Draymond, Jimmy Butler. You don't think that's enough?
Kuminga IQ on defense it still bothers me a lot. You know, he still gets beat a little too fast. He's still a little raw on that end. Jimmy Butler for sure. Draymond for sure, but JK would probably be the one taking the assignment.
John, are you still going Lakers over Warriors?
That's a great question. Is LeBron healthy? The answer is yes. Only in Los Angeles, but if he's not 100%, those Dubs. I'll tell you one thing, Riv. They look dangerous. They look very dangerous.
Look exciting, man.
How about you, Dehls?
I would still have the Lakers.
Okay, so no Warriors change of opinion here. The
Not yet.
Pistons
Jackson
win
Hayes
didn't
being out was
move
huge.
you.
I was sick. He was out.
The Steph Curry confrontation with Isaiah Stewart didn't move you, Riv?
That's big, bro.
That was corny. Yeah. Why did Isaiah Stewart push him in the first place?
Steph don't back down.
Yeah, I know his place.
Yeah. I think honestly, bro, I don't think Jackson Hayes. I think Jackson Hayes wouldn't have played that much against Boston. I think Rui
he would have played his usual in lineups like that 25 minutes.
I don't think they go small all the time.
I think going small is like I thought Rui would probably play the shit ton at the 5.
But that's what I'm saying. We had no Rui, no Jackson.
Yeah.
I feel like not having Rui, it messed up the spacing of the lineups. Unfortunately, I think Jordan Goodwin, the leash that he bought himself with his high level of play as of recently, I think all of that was pretty much thrown out the window. Like, I think he'll still be in a rotation occasionally, but he just had a stretch where he just made some of the dumbest plays imaginable.
It was literally 2 plays, and it was
2 terrible plays, though.
But they were so bad.
2 atrocious plays. Me and Dehls the whole time we're watching, I'm like, Dehls, this guy Jordan Goodwin, man, I just can't get enough. He's really been balling out. He's really been hooping. He has the botched layup, and then he throws it to the other side of the court. It was really bad. But I really promise, other than that, he had a good game.
I just feel like
he has been really serviceable on the defensive side. And if he's knocking down threes like he was yesterday, 2 for 3, he can keep himself on the court.
I just felt like it was the dumbest sequence ever when
it was bad.
LeBron was going to pass to the corner and he is just out of place, just running around with his head off, and then catches it. I don't know, it's so bad. I mean, John, you were early to the Jordan Goodwin party.
I was. He was a Wizards legend for about 27 games, and then it's been all downhill since then, fortunately. But
hey, we've been back.
John,
this season with the Lakers, he's been good.
He's been replacement level. He's been capable. He's been fine.
Well, I'll tell you what, bro. If we get the 6th seed, though, we play Denver. Denver's not coming out the first round, bro.
So you got the Warriors over the Denver Nuggets. That's what you're saying.
Denver's not coming out the first round, bro. That's all I'm saying.
What is Jokic doing to you guys?
What is Steph going to do to him?
I agree.
That's what is Steph gonna do to him? I think that's gonna be the problem, bro. Honestly, the Joker is gonna do the Joker things, but their defense, honestly, is really terrible.
It's food.
And then their offense is good, but when Joker gets off the floor, or when you just box Joker up, I'm not moved by MPJ. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Damn. And then the Westbrook Jamal lineups, yeah, cool. Bring those in too. I'm good with that matchup. I want to play Denver. Honestly.
You're in on the Warriors. I'm surprised you're not even more in, because the Lakers have a better top 2, but outside of the top 2, you don't think the Warriors have a better 3 to 8?
It's interesting you say that. It really is. It is interesting because I feel like when we had a conversation the other day on the pod, and I told you about a specific team that had a really good offense outside the top 2, you didn't give a fuck. You just was like,
well, this is all. I'm just talking about player for player. Like, what do you think?
Ron and Luka and shit like that.
Yeah, it's offense. Yeah,
Ron
trust
and Luka, I trust them over
I'm
anyone.
asking you, Driv.
Trust them
Nah,
over
'cause
the
I
Knicks.
think it's deeper than just the 2 guys.
I don't know, dude. Our role players are good.
I trust the Lakers cast more than the Warriors.
Wait, so if you think it's deeper than just the 2, do you think the Warriors have better role players than the Lakers?
I don't know.
No.
Like, come playoff time, Moody, Kuminga, Pods have a lot to prove.
Joel, do
Draymond-
you think that?
Draymond, Steph are locked. We know what they're gonna do.
their top 3 set.
Well, the
back to
top
back.
2 is
Total on that.
Butler and Curry. So Draymond is a part of this like role player group.
No,
Just
he-
like Reeves is their third.
Put him up there with the 3s. Don't respect my son Draco. Put him up.
Okay.
there.
I think
so-
4 through 8. Give me the Lakers.
Okay,
Give me
so
Rui,
outside
give
of
me
the top-
Hayes.
So we removing the top 3. So Lakers have Reeves, Luka, LeBron. The Warriors have Draymond, Curry, and then
Yeah.
Butler.
Yes.
So then it is who? It is
Vincent,
Rui.
Young player.
Hayes.
It's Rui, DFS,
DFS.
Nept,
Facts.
Vincent,
Vando.
Hayes, and Vando
versus
Kuminga,
Warriors.
Moody, Pods, Heel,
Devon.
Looney, and
Yeah, it's
Quentin
the Lakers clear.
Quentin
gotta
Post.
Exact.
You didn't shout out Quentin Post, John.
I don't know if Quentin Post is gonna
Well,
play.
every time
I
I'm
don't know.
talking about him, y'all dunk on him. But
Quentin Post or Jackson Hayes?
It's conversation.
I don't know who's
Losing
gonna
rest.
No, Hayes is
man.
more important to the Lakers than Post is.
Hayes, the whole
He's
season
playing
lies
well.
on his shoulders.
He is playing
He
well.
is
But they
playing
both are playing well.
True.
But I do believe, Joel, you're underrating that Lakers supporting cast quite a bit.
I
'Cause
never
3
said the
through
words is
7
better. I'm just asking you the question.
I know, but 3 through 7.
What
I
do
don't
you
think-
think?
Question.
I don't think it's a discussion between their 2 teams, and that's what gives me more edge with the Lakers.
Well, I mean, I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is a bad player. You know,
No,
I
I think if
He's
you
probably
stack
the
him
best
up-
out of the batches.
Yeah, but
Playoffs,
playoffs time, I don't know.
You don't know what you're getting, and you're
Yeah,
comparing that to
he's
DFS.
okay.
I
So
know
it's
what I'm getting with DFS and Rui and Hayes. That
it's
makes
the
me feel
unknown
comfortable.
of the Warriors, is what you're
You
telling
gotta know
me.
what you're getting from Rui. He's contributed
Unknown,
at
but
a high
also
end.
kind of known mid.
So you're not trusting
Who?
of Moses Moody and
I don't
Kuminga,
think
the
it's
2
that.
Same for
lottery
the
picks.
Warriors.
I think I'm more in the wait and see. I'm a wait and see. Like
Okay.
I think they've been playing well. I don't want to dismiss that. I think they played really well this year, especially as of late. AirPods has played well. Quentin Post in his minutes has given really good minutes. So I don't want to dismiss that at all. But in the
Like
playoffs,
AirPods or Gabe Vincent?
I think Pods is a better player, but
Vincent's playing better right now. Oh, no,
No,
Pods playing well
Pods-
too.
ooh, I
I'll
don't
take
know.
playoff game.
Pods
That's
lately.
fine. Gabe has been playing well.
Gabe in the playoffs, though, you know what he can provide. So
Yeah.
that's the difference.
W.
Rui or Kuminga?
Like
This
as a player,
season, even still, give me Rui.
Yeah, just who's better? Yeah.
I'll take.
Rui's a 50-40 player.
Yeah, you trust Rui to fill into his role a lot more consistently.
That's a
Kuminga's a
fact.
wild card in the playoffs. He can give you some
He
really
can
good.
go get one, though.
He also has some head
He can
scratching.
definitely
I'm not
go
quite
get one.
Again, we're doing this, and it's like trying to disrespect the Warriors in a certain way. No, the Warriors are fun. I give respect to Kuminga. I give respect to Pods, the role players, the way that they've been playing since Jimmy Butler's been acquired. The Warriors have been a great story. This is something that we're kind of disrespecting the Warriors by trying to compare them to the Lakers, who just bar for bar just might be more talented than them. That doesn't take away from the Warriors.
You think the Lakers are so much better? It's disrespect.
I mean, I'm not trying to take it as disrespect. I'm trying to respect the Warriors and what they've been doing.
I'd have the
Okay.
Lakers pretty comfortably over the Warriors 4 through 8. I'm not saying it's not impossible because there's upside with the Warriors, but the roles that the Lakers, like Gabe Vincent, DFS, Rui, the roles that they have, I feel more confident in the playoffs they'll show up for.
The veteran leadership
It's a
that they
fact.
have to
Their
offer.
roles are more secure. You don't
Yeah.
know what the roles are for these guys. Young guys can play all the time. That's the only-
I think SGA secured the MVP today. I'm not going to jump to too many conclusions because I think one more game is left. Finish the job tomorrow when they play again. But if Jokic's elbow is that hurt, maybe we can expect another poor shooting night. But no, I think this game and these 2 games are pretty much going to decide the MVP. The conversation got, I think, very nasty after Jokic had the 30, 20, and 20 game, which was a historic game. But I feel like once he had that game, they tried to throw everything SGA did in the season out the window.
The
No,
MVP
absolutely.
conversation has been disgusting. I've had fun. When Jokic dropped the 30-20-20 game, I tweeted Jokic's the MVP. Then SGA goes out there, drops 40 tonight. I tweet SGA's the MVP. That's really been the discussion the entire season between the two. That's how great they've been. I agree with you, though, Joel. I think SGA, for what he's been able to do this season for the entirety, I think that with this win over the Joker, I think narrative will start to play a fact. On top of that, he's just been so overwhelmingly excellent this season. The plus minus, his ability to score the basketball is better than anybody so far this season in the NBA. How dominant, how consistent he's been scoring the basketball. I think Jokic still has a fair conversation to be had. Top 3 or top 5 in the top 3 categories of points, rebounds, and assists. He's been spectacular. I just look at what happened today and obviously understanding how voters go and how narrative driven things have become, and it's kind of annoying, but I just think that this whole MVP conversation, like you said, has gotten messy. It's gotten nasty. It's become very disingenuous. I think both players are more than deserving, but again, it's just when you have a conversation like this, you minimize 2 all-time greats. Like, we're watching a historic offensive season from both of these players. It's just, you have OKC, who has been playing unbelievable, overwhelming team basketball, and it wasn't a difference in SGA versus Jokic so much so as it was OKC is just drastically better than the Nuggets where we currently stand right now. I just think that they're just a deeper team. They're just a more well-rounded team. They have more to go on when SGA is off the court as well, as opposed to when Jokic is off the court. Understanding, of course, the difference when SGA is off the court is just speaking. There's not real depth after Jokic hits the bench. So again, credit to SGA. He's been fantastic this year. He will be a more than deserving MVP with an amazing offensive peak.
Yeah, he's been the MVP for me for like a month. I mean, like, when you factor in the overwhelming record that OKC has in terms of just they have like a 10-game sample size between them and the second best team in the West. They've had that gap for pretty much up until like December, January. They've just been so dominant. It's been them and the Cavs, honestly, just been the 2 most dominant teams. And I feel like in terms of between them and the Cavs, SGA has to do a little bit more in terms of the individual load. I mean, averaging 33 points a game is absolutely ludicrous by being that efficient. And he's just been a complete – this is with not having Chet for primarily most of the year. Like, he's been in and out. Isaiah Hartenstein has been missing some time. Like, they at one point, they were playing games out of center. So, like, you factor that in. Like, SGA has the best player on the best team narrative kind of by a mile. I mean, the OKC Thunder are the best team in the West comfortably, and SGA has been the best player in the West. So I think for me, he's wrapped up the MVP. I think all it is right now is just building up the case. He's going to keep racking up 40 balls. He's probably going to have another 40 ball tomorrow night. Denver can't stop them. And with Aaron Gordon, unfortunately, probably not going to play tomorrow night, there's really not much. Christian Brown, you're a guy, you're a dude for sure. Can't stop SGA, though. Like, he's just on a different planet right now. I think the real lockup would be if he goes out there and he dominates Boston. I think if he goes out there and he puts on a show against Boston, that'll really lace it up like, yo, this dude is the MVP. But I don't, like you said, Drew, I don't want to discredit what the Joker's doing, because the Joker has also been on similar level to SGA, probably the same level. But what SGA is doing in the winning columns, and basketball, as an individual, you can do a lot more as opposed to other sports like football and hockey or whatever it is. So I think SGA right now, being the number 1 seed, arguably in the league, that matters to me. So SGA is my MVP.
Yeah, he's been my MVP for a minute too. Ever since we had our first, decision to be made, first debate about Jokic and SGA, when I was just looking at the historic numbers he was putting up on top of the record, and not just the record, but all of the injuries the Thunder have overcome. You mentioned Chet, but it's a team that was losing Hartenstein for the beginning of the season. They were losing Caruso. They've been out key role players throughout really the entire season. And I know Denver's been, dealing with some injuries too, mostly to Aaron Gordon, but it's not like the Thunder have had this 11-game lead in the Western Conference, and they've had the best injury luck known to man. You could argue they've had some of the worst injuries outside of their number 1 player, right? Like, most of their other starting 5 has gotten banged up at one point or another during the season. And the consistency Shai just scores at is crazy. The consistency and the efficiency. Today was like the first time you saw an inefficient Shai game, and you still look up and he's like, oh, he finished like 46% from the field, even though it felt so nasty. And he did shoot really, really poor from 3. So that's where a lot of the missed attempts came from. But the Jokic conversation is funny because I feel like every year when the MVP race is close, the conversations get nasty because you have a Jokic fan base and you have an SGA fan base, and we know how much MVPs matter, right? When these guys' careers are over, we're going to look back. How many MVPs? That's going to be right up there with how many rings that you have, right? All NBAs, all of this matters so much to a player's legacy. And SGA is on a run right now of having some of the most efficient guard, or not even guard, but NBA seasons we have really ever seen. So if he is on his way to becoming an all-time great, these MVPs really do matter. So I understand where Jokic fans are coming from, but Jokic has also been dealing with some shit that I don't think SGA has. Like, SGA sees double teams, don't get me wrong, but the coverages that Jokic has been seeing recently, really post that Lakers game, it's different. Like, this some shit we really have not seen from at least from the regular season, a team game planning that much around a player is something we haven't seen in a long time. And not the first time, but one of the few times where, you know, a team didn't go all out against him in the Phoenix Suns. He's like, oh shit, yeah, 30, 20, 20. You know, you guys could hold this. This is what happens if, you know, I'm not completely getting, you know, up and down the court being physical, you know, constantly have two guys on me, constantly seeing three guys on me. So the second he saw any sort of one-on-one or even two guys that come in a little bit late, you know what I mean? He got to business. But SGA, the historic seasons he's having, he's got the narrative going with him too. The winning he's got. I didn't even really need to see this. Like, as long as Joker didn't go out here and give you back-to-back games of, like, you know, 30, 20, and 10s, even still, it would have been hard for me to put over him. SGA is my MVP, even really regardless of what he does Monday or Wednesday against Boston.
Through 3 quarters, I wasn't even sure if SGA was going to take the lead in the MVP race because he wasn't having his best game, but he pulled away in the 4th quarter. He's leading the NBA in 50, 40, and 30-point games. He's been a plus playmaker. He's been an excellent defender. He's been a plus rebounder. OKC has 12 wins over the Denver Nuggets. They have more wins over 500 teams, and he's done this without his second-best player all season long, pretty much, without Chet Holmgren, and they have been the first seed comfortably all season long. He's the first player since Michael Jordan to average 30 on 50% from the field. And then you look at just SGA and the narrative with the free throws that he has right now. I just think it's a false narrative. You look at every 30-point per game scorer in NBA history, whether it's James Harden, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Michael Jordans of the world. SGA is amongst the lowest in terms of free throws attempted per game. So it's not like, you know, I know it's a big narrative that he's getting to the foul line, and he is, but that's because he's number 1 in drives per game, and he is getting fouled. I mean, I think he's the toughest perimeter player to guard in the NBA right now. There's nobody that's tougher than him, and I think he did solidify MVP. It's one more game, though. If he outplays Jokic tomorrow, I think it's signed and sealed that he will be the MVP, but that does need to happen. But overall, man, and John, maybe you could speak on this a little bit more after you give your SGA take as well. This is the lowest I felt about the Nuggets in a long time. This is the worst that they have looked as a team in a very long time.
Yeah. So starting off with SGA, he is someone that I think kind of gets disrespected at times in the media, but I think most of us understand that this is one of the greatest guard seasons we've seen. Now, my MVP up until this point has been Jokic, but I will admit I'm starting to see the light with SGA taking the lead, really acknowledging just how much Dehls highlighted the injuries to iHeart early in the year and then right after Chet for such an extended stretch. What Shai has done to put yourself at 53 wins, 12 more than the Nuggets, it really does give you that edge in a race that is so narrow. It's so razor thin. And honestly, I wouldn't really mind at this current point in time either player winning. That being said, this Nugget team is sometimes a painful watch in these marquee games, right? They're 1-3 this year versus the 2 best teams in the NBA, the Celtics and the Thunder, not including the Cavaliers. And when I watched them today without Aaron Gordon, he leaves after 7 minutes with a calf injury. This team is hopeless defensively. I mean, you have Christian Brown defending Shai, but everyone else, it's like kind of like they're lost defensively rotationally. They're a step behind, they're a step late. And with Aaron Gordon in the lineup, you have a hope. But this year, he has been so unreliable with that lower body. And quite frankly, he means too much to this team. You look at the Nuggets bench. I mean, if you took the Thunder's 7th guy off their bench, Kenrich Williams, there would be some nights he would be the Nuggets' best player off their bench. And that is the disparity between these two teams' benches. I mean, the Nuggets, they get outscored 31-14 in the second unit. When Jokic is off the floor, they can't extend possessions. But really, you look at everyone after their top 4, they're a total wild card. You know, AG leaves the game, and I think there's maybe only a few teams in the NBA that are playing Zeke Naji over 15, 20 minutes. They're all rebuilding teams. And a marquee game like today, the Nuggets are playing him over 20 minutes. And then you look at Russell Westbrook, who's been a good playmaker, but he can't finish at the rim. And Jokic has to rely on a group of players that off the bench would not be rotation players on most teams. So the Nuggets right now are looking like a tier 2 contender, a team that needs everything to go their way to go on a deep playoff run. And most importantly, I'm just worried with Jokic taking that fall in the first quarter. The elbow didn't look right, went 2 of 10 from 3. And then he paired that along to Aaron Gordon's calf injury. And the Nuggets have a lot of questions, and I don't feel too confident in them right now.
Sounds like a first round exit.
Like
Is
the
that what
Warriors
you're
the last 2
predicting?
years.
Depends on who they play. If they play a certain guy,
John, I think it's so funny what you're saying because of how true it is. You look at OKC and who they're able to go to off the bench, and honestly, you're not wrong. I think every single player that I'm about to name off their bench would be better than their 6-man. You look at Alex Caruso, you look at Case and Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. Like, they're all legitimate conversations to be the best player off the bench for the Nuggets, and some of them are pretty comfortable too.
Mm-hmm. Even Jalen Williams. I mean, he would be the best player off their bench.
Jalen Williams.
That's why I didn't want to get nasty. I didn't want to say Jalen Williams over Westbrook.
I'll say
Wallace
Zeke
over
Naji
Westbrook.
versus him is not even close.
Jason Wallace is a perfect role player.
He's okay.
It depends what role you need. For the Nuggets team, I don't like Westbrook is. I don't hate the fit because like you need another creator at times, especially if Jokic is going to be banged up or Murray's not in his game.
I don't know how many of these dudes are better than Westbrook. I think after Westbrook,
like he's more talented, but in like a role, because obviously all these dudes can shoot on OKC, it's a lot easier to fit them. That's the biggest issue with Russ. It's not like he's not talented. It's just his fit's weird. Like he's a great playmaker. He's a really good defender. Like he has a area to work with. But when this team already struggles with spacing, and now you're putting Russ in, it's like, damn, like it's going to make the problems worse.
It has nothing to do with Russ. I think Russ, for all intents and purposes this season, has really been a positive for the Nuggets. It's just moments when he has the lapses and he just can't shoot or he's not finishing at the rim, which, if anything, if you're not going to be able to shoot, we can live with that as long as we're still finishing at the basket at an efficient rate. When you have nights like that where it's just a complete nothing on the scoring, the basketball side of things, that's where he's hard to keep on the court.
How many teams in the West? Sorry, John. How many teams in the West would you pick to beat the Nuggets in a playoff series?
I'll be honest.
3
or 4. Case and Wallace can't shoot either, though.
Case and Wallace definitely has struggled shooting this season. I thought he'd be a lot better, especially after last year.
Who'd be the 4th team?
I don't know the 4th. Yeah, I have 3 for sure.
I said 3.
You said 3 or 4.
I said 3. It would have been 4 if Dallas was healthy. I swear to God, it would have been 4.
Maybe.
I would have picked them.
Memphis doesn't enter your matrix. You have no faith in them?
To beat Denver, I don't remember. I got to see them play. I don't remember them playing, so I can't give you a full answer to that.
I think the number is 3 too. But what were you saying, John?
I know that we appreciate Russ, but if you put him on the Thunder, he'd be their 9th or 10th man. And
that's cap.
No, it's not.
With their shooting, John, I think he wouldn't be your 9th or 10th man. They have so much spacing. They could
for him to just be better than Russell Westbrook.
They would have better than Westbrook to pull him if he's not playing well. The Nuggets
over Westbrook on the Thunder.
Who would you play over Westbrook? Aaron Wiggins, you got it. I love that.
Caruso.
Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins.
He's another person that can't really shoot either.
Yo, stop, Riv. He's been getting it back. He's up to 35%.
None of these guys are better than Westbrook.
Think about it. It was at 27.
So to go to 30.
Even if they're not necessarily better, they're more valuable kind of for the Thunder. And for a contending team, they do provide more value. I mean, Russ today went 1 of 9 from the field. And so if I look at the Thunder, I'm taking Caruso, I'm taking Isaiah Joe, I'm taking Aaron Wiggins, and I might even take Case and Wallace above him.
John, the question. Westbrook is a guy who likes the ball in his hands. He's still a really good playmaker. If you tell me you plug him on OKC and you put Isaiah Joe out there, Aaron Wiggins out there, guys who can actually shoot around him, he wouldn't be better than the two.
You would thrive, Johnny.
Yeah, but the Thunder need more of the shooting than the playmaking. I know they need playmaking, but this year in the 3-point shooting,
the bench, I don't know.
I'd argue I'm with Joel here. I'd argue they do need the.
They don't even get the shooting from them dudes.
John, if you replace Westbrook on the Nuggets with Case and Wallace, are they not a worse team?
Who's Case? What is Case and Wallace going to do? I'm genuinely asking.
I think they need a point of attack defense badly.
Yo, bro, are you serious?
Kaysen is elite defensively.
He's
They need
elite
that
strong.
defense.
He's
So
really
you,
good
so you,
defense.
so you
They're
think
top
you
two
think
offense
Denver
in
gets
their-
better if they
Oh,
replace Westbrook with Kaysen Wallace
John, who's
right
the-
now?
Who's the better
Some
defender,
nights.
Casey Wallace or Peyton Watson?
And Peyton Watson haven't been playing.
No, I'm asking you though. That's the issue here. Both of them cannot shoot. They need more Westbrook skills than Kaysen Wallace. And for OKC, Kaysen Wallace, literally, he goes out there. They have Alex Caruso. So if you just plug Westbrook in for Kaysen Wallace, I don't think it's an insane drop. I really don't. Honestly, I think they'll be fine. Like
I know for sure that Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and Alex Caruso are all playing over him.
Aaron Wiggins, yeah. Caruso, yeah. I'm not 100% true on Isaiah Joe.
Just Denver's spacing's been so nasty lately that if you're getting me an above average shooter like Isaiah Joe, who's even better than that at times, bro, I get Westbrook does a lot of different things, but for how nasty this Denver offense has looked at times, especially against some top level competition, some top level defenses, I would want the spacing too. I get that, John.
The fit over player conversation tends to devalue the player because
It
we know
does.
Russ is good.
It
But
does.
I feel like it also tends to devalue another player in Josh Giddey, who with the Bulls is fitting well, is playing well. With OKC,
God bless.
not so much. And I saw you got some jokes off Riv. You know,
It was dead serious. He's about to get 30 M's.
he's not getting Josh Giddey. No way he gets 30 million. No way.
Joel,
No way.
Chicago Bulls.
I promise
one of the
you.
most
Quickly got it.
functional
What
organization.
Patrick Williams get?
He got
Like
18.
22.
He got 18
Oh
a year.
yeah.
What's
Giddey's getting
Kobe White's
25.
contract?
Giddey's
He got it
getting
on the
25.
steal though. That was 14.
He did get
He
it.
gave
Okay.
Patrick Williams 18 after that. Josh Giddey is playing 50 times better than Patrick Williams. He's getting 30.
Josh Giddey is playing really well right now, though. He looks like a good basketball player.
He's playing well his last like 10 games. Actually,
25. He's averaging 17, 6, and 6 his last 25 games.
Oh, that's really good. That's
He's
dope.
shooting 37% from 3 on the season.
No, that's dope as hell. That's what happens when you give a bad player the ball and a bad team. They play really well. It really does matter.
Are you
I mean,
buying
Josh-
into this, Joel?
Yes, I am. I don't think Josh Giddey's bad.
Well, no, he can do this on Chicago. I believe he can do this and put up 17, 6, and 6 if he's just going to have the ball and just be ass.
What happened to letting players grow, man? What happened to just this dude in his second
He could
season
grow.
averaged
Wait,
16?
22? 23? How old is he? 22, 23?
Yeah, he'll be
I think-
23 this year. So like 22.
So, like, yeah, I mean, let him grow, let him have fun. But, like, is any playoff contending team really going to be like, oh, yeah, Josh Giddey, we're building around you? Like, come on.
I just think 30 million is unrealistic. Derek White just got 29 million per year. Tyler Hero's making 30 million per year. I don't think there's any world where Giddey makes that. I think Giddey makes like 20 million per year, and I think that'll be fine.
Yo, bro, like,
Like
Chicago
quickly
has
making
to-
32.
Chicago
So-
has to pay somebody.
They can get people in free agency.
Like we did we forget Fred VanVleet got 40?
Josh Giddey doesn't have Fred VanVleet staying.
Oh, my God.
They
It's
have
just,
to pay
it's
the
just
shot.
Chicago. Chicago's a wild card.
You're
they're gonna
hoping
bid against
Chicago,
themselves.
like Chicago has not done nothing good in 10 years.
They haven't done anything right, really, ever. Or not ever, but, like, yeah, 10 years.
Somebody just said Jalen Suggs got 30 mil, but Jalen Suggs was proven on a winning team that made the playoffs.
for a year.
Yeah, I don't think that Giddey's getting that contract.
He might,
I think I can
we
see
can-
him getting 25.
We can make that deal. I don't think Giddey sniffs 30.
I don't listen. I'm not gonna. I'm
30
not
is
gonna
fake
bet
a
on
lot.
in his pockets. I don't want to do. I'm not betting on his
Hey, you know, but I saw, Riv had to get some jokes off. If he said 20 mil, it wasn't going to hit the same as 30 mil. 30 mil is like, oh, wow, terrible.
No, people were actually under there trying to convince me that they should give him $30 million a year. I literally laughed because
Well, if you've seen his highlights as of recently, maybe you'd be convinced too.
that's some Chicago shit. Like literally, he's playing well. Let's give him $30 million a year. Like I can see them doing that. Like I can legitimately see them doing that.
I feel like he's turned into a good player. He has freedom, and I think he's just scratching the surface of what he could be, which is a reliable ball handler who can create shots for others and he can get downhill. And he's shooting the ball with confidence.
You should take over Chicago's GM and sell that to some other GM.
Hey, listen,
give me
I
two
have no
protected
problem. I have no problem paying Josh Giddey after we draft Cooper Flag.
Okay.
You'll pay him
You're gonna
30
be
M's.
playing.
No, I wouldn't pay him 30. I think 20 million is more than fine. I
Okay.
think 20 million is what he's probably going to get. And I think, he's playing really well right now. You can't discount what he's doing. So are you telling me you think that this is fake? You're not buying into this at all?
I'll wait and see on it. Like we've seen him we've seen him in a competitive situation. He was dog shit. So I'll wait to see if they get a little bit more competitive.
The fit's weird. The fit's weird on a lot of teams, man.
Are you gone with Chicago still? Like, no way, no how you're coming back?
Bro, I'm not coming back.
That's so crazy, man.
It's just like no way.
It's been dead for years. I don't even ask him anymore.
Like the answer would never change. I'm so gone. It's not even funny. Like for me to come back, they'd have to get like a man on their team. Then like Steph will have to go there for like a day. Then like they will have to get like Cooper Flag and Dylan Harper. Like there's a lot of shit that has to go for me to go over there.
I mean, I can't really talk, man. I'm a Lakers fan, so like, who am I to call anyone out on fandom?
I just thought Riv would be more excited about the Kobe White and Josh Giddey backcourt.
Kobe White hasn't been playing well.
He has his moments though.
He does have his moments. That's my dog, Kobe. I love Kobe. That's
He
my
went
guy.
off against the Magic, right?
I was watching the Josh Giddey highlights. You know, has some calm triple doubles against some good defenses. John, are you out on Giddey?
I'm not out, but I'm not going to pay a player who's only played well in April and March. Giddey up until 50 games, shooting 32% from three. I'm not going to get fooled by that. Like, I'm familiar with your game and have been for a long time. Josh Giddey is not going to get a huge payday off in 2 months because we see that a lot of time with these players who maybe have talent and potential, but even if all of that goes well, they still have really glaring issues. So I think maybe the Patrick Williams plan, that type of contract is fair for him. But I mean, we've seen a lot of guards get paid and the market skyrocket, and it would be pretty egregious if he got 30 M's.
We saw IQ get 30. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that
Raptors are needy.
I think that it wasn't a bad trade for the Bulls. I know that people are fixated on like the first round picks.
You pulled up your tweet.
Yeah, but like the thing about it is that like the first round picks, the late first round picks, because that's what OKC was going to trade. Like, would you rather have Josh Giddey or like draft a late guy and it's like Dalen Terry?
What if it's
That's the Bulls drafting late.
That's few and far between.
We're banking on Chicago to develop dudes.
Yeah, that's a fact. Also, I mean, like
Also banking on Chicago to draft well.
You still could have got something better, like maybe a pick or two, maybe.
But that's the
what's-
thing. If
what-
you let
what's-
if you
what's
let
better
Giddey
than-
walk, you
What's
trade
better than
Giddey
what
for
Giddey's
nothing.
been doing right now?
No,
You're
that's a
screwed
fact.
either way.
Yeah.
You let
It's
Giddey
just-
walk,
Yeah.
you trade Caruso for nothing. You pay Giddey, you just paid Giddey.
Now
They
you
were
gotta think,
doing
like, all right.
they weren't doing OKC a favor by taking Giddey off their hands because the Thunder were looking to actively.
Absolutely.
Thunder were probably looking
And
to
with
waive
that-
him.
If you got a first
Absolutely.
round pick, it would have been more understandable because when you're dealing with the Thunder and they have 20 first round picks, you tell me you can't get one of them for a valuable bench player when you're doing them a favor. I think that's where Chicago's negotiating with
The
Pittsburgh.
Bulls are dog shit. They haven't been a good organization.
Shout out AK, seeing whole
Oh.
product. You're doing them a disservice.
But where are you going to find somebody that could give you 26, 10, and 12? And that's what Giddey just did.
Crying.
The
rather
first
not
round
do that.
picks sound great. Or are they giving you 26, 10, and 12?
These March runs about to be so funny.
Oh, man.
Generational. This is my favorite time of year.
You know,
This is where I
you
pick
see
agendas.
You see Najee Marshall
Give
now.
it your time.
Oh my goodness.
Najee probably gonna do that a couple more times. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
He's like
You know
their
it's
best
dead
shot
crazy,
creator.
bro. I was ready to come up here, talk crazy. Oh, Caruso, Najee Marshall, da, 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 da. Najee Marshall goes 39 and 10.
Yeah, he was killing. He was killing too.
He said, "Be the hell quiet, Drew, and stay humble."
He's a
I was
bucket,
like,
man.
"Okay."
He's a great player.
He is. He's
Phenomenal.
really great.
You're not if he's getting $7 million a year, I don't think Giddey's getting 30.
IQ got 30.
I think IQ was further along.
Different roles, man.
Brother, it's the
Najee's
Bulls.
role is defined already.
Whoa, when have the Bulls ever made a good decision in your
Riv,
life?
you are spitting. IQ got 30. Giddey might get 30, man.
I don't
might
think
get
so.
He might get 30, dude.
He's gonna get close to 30.
Giddey's averaging 13 on the season. I know that recently he's been playing really well, but he's only averaging 13 points.
He's at the bottom of every statistic. Trust me, I know. Trust me, it's at the bottom everywhere. But it's the Chicago Bulls. They've made nothing but bad decision after bad decision. If he continues to play like this in March and April runs, Jalen Green just got 30. Like I can see it, bro. I can see it. They'd be like, fuck it.
Giddey never had a month like February 2024.
No,
Please.
no.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying they could just be like, you know what? Let's give him a little.
John, have you been noticing about Jalen Green 2025? Throw some respect on his name, please.
Me? I was the one defending Jalen Green with you.
Oh, my bad. Sorry,
Come
I'm
on.
mad defensive over Jalen Green.
yeah. I
on me.
disagree with you too.
It's
Wow.
a Tortorelli. I
Not my
mean,
favorite
okay.
player.
I was getting ready to talk about the Cavaliers and Bucks, but it wasn't a good game at all. I kind of feel like this gave us clarification that there's just two teams in the East that are important and that matter.
Yeah.
Disrespecting your
sure.
picks.
Is that disrespectful?
Your team? Yeah.
I don't think it is.
I would never say that.
What about the Indiana Pacers?
Listen, I'm gonna say this. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland didn't even have a crazy game today. Like they didn't.
Awesome.
And this offense still was humming. And this goes back to the conversation that we had the other day, where it's not just about the two guys at the top. It's about everybody else. Max Strus came to play.
Max Strus was crazy in this game.
Jared Allen had moments.
pissing me
Sam
off.
Murrell hit some timely threes. DeAndre Hunter had some moments. Evan fucking Mobley is a demon. I mean, this
He's
team,
goated.
this team from top to bottom, you're just not going to find a team that's just this deep outside of OKC and probably Boston. Like, this team from top to bottom is really good, and they always have a sleeping giant on that bench that can come in and that can play well. Their two best players didn't even play their best, and they still were able to come out and whip Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee did everything they could, but they just defensively in the second half, they came out, they were sound, they punched them in the mouth. I mean, this Cavs team is different. You could feel it in the energy. They have a sense of urgency. They definitely woke up for this game too because they came to play. And, you know, Kenny Atkinson has these guys humming. And listen, Milwaukee, you give them credit because this was their first time with this new group, you know, playing Cavs. They played them a couple months ago. You have Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma was awful today. I'll be honest with you. Kyle Kuzma was not good. You know, the role players, it really was just Giannis and Dame doing their thing, and then everybody else was just like, all right, guys, save us. And they just couldn't do it for Cleveland. It's really just a collective effort of they have a guy that can step up at any moment. They can get into their offensive sets. They always find a good shot at the end of a shot clock, or they always find a good look damn near every possession. And defensively, their rotations are really good. Their guards play defense. You know, even their small guards in Sam Murrell, they give effort. You know, Ty Jerome is not the fastest guy. He gives effort on the defensive end. You know, and they always make a mistake and they come back and they do their thing after that. Like, they just hold each other accountable. And that's what you want from a team that's trying to win a championship. You know, Donovan Mitchell said it best. You know, they didn't accomplish anything. They didn't do anything. They know the target is on their back. They know everything that they have to accomplish. It's going to be in May. It's going to be in June. But it has to feel pretty fucking sweet to have 50-plus wins and you've dominated damn near every team in the league.
One crazy stat about today, and Riv, you highlighted very well, your two best players offensively go 8 of 28 from the field, and you still won comfortably. Why? Dean Wade and Max Strus nearly match the same amount of threes as the entire Bucks. Dean Wade goes a perfect 3 of 3, plus 23 off the bench. And then Max Strus, who's this team's 6th to 7th best player some nights, got Ty Jerome off the bench, hits 5 threes, goes 5 of 9. And it really does highlight very well. Dehls, you know this because you've seen this with the Celtics as of late. So it makes this a very exciting top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. This Cavalier team has awesome depth, and it's complementary depth that really fits in so well. Even in the night where DeAndre Hunter off the bench doesn't have a great game, he's still making an impact and leaving a mark offensively. And just the combination of all these creators on the offensive end kind of gives the Cavs this spark where off the bench today, they over doubled. The same exact story as the Nuggets Thunder game, where they score, I believe it was 40 points, and then the Bucks got 14 from the 42 to 21. They doubled the output of Milwaukee's bench. And then defensively is where the Cavaliers can hang their hat. You hold this Bucks team to 100 points, no one is able to get anything going outside of Giannis. And it's a testament to the credibility of this entire Cavalier group. When their offense isn't clicking, their defense will hold its own. And I think it really says a lot that in a game so ugly from their top 2 players, where they don't play well, everybody else steps up.
This game also highlighted how amazing the Cavaliers' three-point shooting is. Like we already know, they not only doubled their bench output, but they also doubled their three-point output.
Yep.
Took well more threes than them. Shot way better from three-point range. Shot 40% from threes. They made 19 to the Bucks 9 three-point shots. That ended up being the difference down the stretch of the game. The Bucks had it close in the fourth quarter. Then the Cavaliers started making some threes. The lid was on the rim for the Bucks, and that ended up being how the game was able to be put away. We keep talking about it. This is a team effort. The Cavaliers are an amazing, well-rounded team on both sides of the basketball. And when we talk about this offense, There's so many people that can get to you. That's what makes them so dangerous. And the game versus Milwaukee, where again, like we've already mentioned, the two guys had a solid performance in Giannis and Dame. It's the rest of the supporting cast that's always going to be our question mark in a series versus the top two contenders in the Eastern Conference. That's where I look at the Cavaliers. I have to respect what they do every single night. They're on a 13-game win streak. Is it now 14 after this win? One of the two. They've just been so incredible this season. One of the best stories of this season, and I can't help but sing their praises.
How about that being their second 14-game winning streak of the season?
Yeah, that's nuts.
How about that?
They're crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're the number one rated offense in the NBA, first in offensive rating, and they're so electric and great offensively. They have shooters everywhere, Riv.
Hey,
the Lakers.
It's a 50-50, man.
Them and the Lakers, Joel.
Hey, listen, there's a difference between who's better. Cavaliers. Who do I trust? There's a lot of things involved in trust.
You're always doing jumping jacks.
I've seen LeBron in the playoffs. I've seen Luka in the finals.
Against
trust.
Who do you trust more against the Celtics? Because you asked me this question. Now you've watched the Lakers play the Celtics. Who do you trust more against the Celtics, the Lakers or the Cavs offense? I'm curious.
Is Rui playing?
Sure, let's say that. Luka's playing like shit. Donovan doesn't play like
Jackson
shit.
Hey,
Hayes
fourth
playing?
quarter Luka, stop. Fourth quarter Luka, where it was actually a game. Relax.
Am I getting LeBron without a groin injury?
Facts.
You got him before the groin injury.
Yo, did you guys see what he hurt? How he hurt his groin?
I didn't, but I
It
didn't
was
look.
him, bro. It
didn't
was
look that
him
bad.
doing the dream shake. It was fucked up, honestly.
You
A lot
know,
of torque coming from that lower body. It's a big man. It's a lot of mass.
Lord knows I love to see it.
I just like the fact that you jumped through hoops to answer my question.
I'm
I
just
Joel, you
understanding
get
the
anyone you want.
circumstances.
LeBron, Luka, healthy, no heat pad, Rui,
Lakers.
whatever you want, man.
Lakers.
okay, so
Lakers. Luka and LeBron. But I'm kind of getting bored of the East right now because I love how the Celtics and the Cavaliers are playing, and you're disrespecting the Knicks. Jalen Brunson is hurt. Can he get healthy? Can he get healthy?
You didn't have the Knicks in the conversation just now.
You don't even respect your Knicks. You don't even bring them up.
I could disrespect them. You can't.
You don't even speak on them.
Because when I'm disrespecting them, I'm talking about the team. When you're disrespecting them, you're talking about me.
He's cooking.
You're taking a shot at me. You're trying to hurt my feelings.
He's cooking.
This all started because you went funny on the Cavs, and I would have never started doing this if you didn't stand.
What I'm saying is that I'm getting bored of the East because I feel like we're heading towards an ECF of Celtics and Cavs.
We know.
That's really what it is, and I want to fast forward to that matchup already. I feel like everything right now in between now and that matchup is just dead space.
That's disrespectful. I don't agree with that sentiment. I still think
what team could take out either?
Oh, you're in on the Pacers now.
It's not that I don't think it's not
He's
that
serious.
Hold on. It's not that I don't think. First of all, I don't think nobody's going to take out the Cavs or the Celtics. But I think us saying we don't give a fuck about anything else in between, that's disrespectful.
In the East, yes.
To what good basketball we can still get in between. We can still get a really good Bucks in next series. We can still get a really good Pacers and Pistons series.
No, he's right.
In Bucks. We can still get good basketball.
Sure.
Like we can get legitimate good. Like fucking what was it? 2 years ago we had the Kings and the Warriors, and we didn't think none of them could win the finals, but we got a great elite 7-game series. Like we can still get high value basketball, even though we know the Cavs and the Celtics are going to go to the finals. And that's your team's fault, Joel, because your team was supposed to be the team that put this little, they were supposed to jump in and be in this tier, but they didn't. That's also your other team's fault.
Here we go. From being positive to being negative again.
I'm not being negative. That's the truth.
You went from positive to negative so fast.
True. And then also a team you like in Milwaukee was supposed to be another team
Here we go
in this conversation. But they're fumbling the bag. And that's not being me negative. That's me telling the truth. They're fumbling the bag.
The truth is that when there are years where the East or West are wide open, they're entertaining. I don't view the East this year as a wide open East. When KD was on the Warriors, I didn't look forward to the Western playoff bracket. I knew the Warriors were gonna just make it to the finals. Right now, I feel like it doesn't matter who the Celtics and Cavs play. They will steamroll anybody else.
So
I think they beat the Knicks in 5. I think they beat the Bucks in 5, 6 because they have Dame and Giannis. I could give them 6. I think they beat the Pacers in 5. I think the Cavaliers, I think they steamroll all these teams.
So the other teams don't matter is what you're saying?
In the East, all that matters in terms of the championship landscape is the Cavs and Celtics.
It'll
Yo,
be-
Pacers got to
it's
win
fun
over
for
the Cavs
agendas.
this year.
It's
Just
fun to see Cade first time in the playoffs. It's fun to see Brunson versus Cade or whatever else we might get. What does Hallie look like? But big picture, like it'll be fun basketball. But we're not going to be like, oh my God. Like, listen, Pistons, Knicks, whoever wins the series got a real chance against Cleveland. I don't think we're going to be saying that.
I just find it hard to believe that Riv, in his thoughts, is really going, I can't wait to watch the Knicks in the playoffs. You're
Yo,
lying.
Knicks Pistons, honestly, I
want
pray
to
God
watch
that the Lord we
I
get that.
think Riv is excited to watch the Pistons. That's a team that I think you are excited to watch in the playoffs. I don't think you think to yourself, oh, whoa, I can't wait to watch Halliburton in the playoffs. I can't wait to watch the Knicks in the playoffs. I don't think you're telling yourself that. I think you're lying.
I'm 100% excited to see playoff basketball. I don't like this, and this is y'all problem. This is the problem with not you, Drew. I'm sorry. This is the problem. No, Drew. No, not Drew. I'm sorry. Dehls and Joel. This is the problem now. This is the problem now because we think all we care about is the championship, the ECF, the finals. When there's 30 teams in the NBA, and every team can't win, bro. Like, of course I want. First of all, Dehls, you should want to see Cade in the playoffs. It's wake up. Joel,
it's not that I don't want to. Just rank them.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Joel, you should want to see Halliburton in the playoffs. You should be excited to see how that looks. You should want to see your Knicks come playoff time. You haven't seen shit your life. You should want to see this in the playoffs. You should want to be excited for that. You should want to see the idea of Giannis in the playoffs, freshly healthy, get to see what he looks like. Like, it's a bunch of, like, what are we doing here?
No. Why
skip all the way to just Cavs?
When you feel like you're being set up for disappointment, why does that get you excited?
Get excited. Be delusional. That's a part of being a fan.
No. Listen, let's make an NFL comparison. Okay. Sorry, Drew. Were you excited to watch the Broncos in the playoffs?
Me?
Yes.
No, but they played.
But it's playoff football.
They paid the Bills.
Playoff football, Riv. It's playoff
It was
football.
fun first few possessions.
I was lit.
I thought it was gonna be a good game.
So Riv, you're excited to watch the Pacers.
Hold on.
In the playoffs.
Riv, I'll help you. That Vikings versus Giants game, exciting or no? It's the Giants.
It was exciting.
It was an exciting game, no?
Joel, you had a better chance of asking me if I was excited to watch the Heat. You would have cooked there. I would have probably said no. But Indiana, they're a top 5 seed. I'm excited to watch.
Riv, you know what's ironic about that? The Heat were an 8th seed and they went all the way to the finals, man.
Yep, that was exciting.
I'm not buying this Pacers excitement, Riv. I'm not. The way you've trashed Halliburton all year long, the way that before the show you were arguing with Drew whether or not the Pacers were a good win or not, I don't think you're excited about them.
Well, that's exactly my point. You just told the world how I've trash talked Hallie. So why wouldn't I be excited for him come playoff time? Because I am watching him at every waking moment. I am excited to see him because if he fucks up, I will be there no matter what. Through every waking
So you're excited
I
to
know
hate.
what happened to positive Riv.
Like, I'm going to be there in my crib on that bed over there if he throws the ball over.
The Western Conference playoffs, I think, are very exciting. I think they are, and especially the second round of things. But the East,
you don't like Memphis. You don't like Houston.
That's what I'm saying. The second round of things. Wait, hold up. Houston and Memphis, I'm really not that excited for. I'm really not in the playoffs. But the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Lakers, OKC, there's more teams in the West I'm excited to watch in the playoffs than in the East.
Are you excited to see Minnesota?
Yes,
I am.
I always like watching Anthony Edwards play.
Okay. But you're not excited about the Knicks?
Well, the Knicks, no, I feel like I'm being set up for disappointment with the Knicks.
Aren't you not being
It's
set
different.
up for disappointment with Minnesota?
What are the Wolves doing?
There's a difference. The difference is that, for one, Anthony Edwards is just my favorite player. I really don't have much of an attachment to the Timberwolves as an entire team. Number two, the Timberwolves did not make an all-in move to win a championship. They literally traded their second best player after making the conference finals and said, we're trying to free up salary. The Knicks traded 5 firsts and traded for Cat because they said, we think this team is good enough to compete with Boston and compete with the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. There's different expectations.
Okay. So you don't. Okay.
And also, Riv, the regular season, we've seen they go up against top guys. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. I mean, Okay. I mean, I'm excited, man. Listen, if you don't want to be excited about these,
Like, yes, in the grand scheme of things, I am excited to get to the playoffs because that's when basketball it matters the most.
Last year, let me ask you guys a question. Different. I get it. The Suns had a 3-1 lead over the Wolves going into the playoff series, correct?
Yeah, they beat them in the regular season.
And then it was belt to ass for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who knows?
shit happens, man.
Hey, listen, it can happen, but I mean, I don't know. I don't look at this Knicks team. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because all of Knicks Twitter has pretty much turned their backs on Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Everybody, like now, Mikey, you guys know Mikey. He's just like, yeah, we not winning shit until Cat get out of here. It's
He was
just
the
funny.
darling the first 4 months of the
That's
season.
what I'm saying. The heel turn on Cat. I've been heel on Cat, but the heel turn
You're
on Cat.
crazy. It's a fact, but it's nasty.
Next topic. I'm going to get angry. Next topic.
Bro said, I've hated Cat the second he's been on my team. I've hated him.
No.
You were hated on Cat.
I
The Knicks
haven't.
are
I
mid.
don't
Why are we
hate.
still
I
talking
don't
about
hate Cat. It was just the truth about Cat is that he just wasn't a marquee matchup, big time performer.
You said move on.
Yes, Cat was playing really well, Drew. But against the important games, he laid an egg.
You literally said to run the offense through him more.
Yes,
Get
at
him
that
the
time,
ball
absolutely.
more.
He needed more shots.
So I don't want to hear
Yeah.
you've been here. You literally were there with.
This thing is better than Brunson.
Batman.
Yeah,
That was
but
a
not.
big
I
break.
never ever thought that Cat was like gonna show up in a big time moment and like that. I never. He's always been my biggest question mark with the Knicks.
It's all right.
And then Mikal hasn't done much of anything. You know,
No,
like
he's mid.
I think Cat just naturally in big time moments doesn't play the same. That's just a fact. Like in big time moments, he shies away.
Game 7, he was arguably the best player for the Wolves against the Nuggets.
Yeah, and then in the
Arguably.
Mavericks series, he played awful.
To be fair, that was the biggest moment. Game 7.
Game 7, I mean, sure, Anthony Edwards is still the best player in that series.
I don't disagree, but in the biggest moment, Cat was the best player.
Yeah, but we have more of just a one game body of work of Cat.
I'm
I
just
rem-
saying.
I
Game
remember-
7's Game 7.
I remember when the Timberwolves with Jimmy Butler met the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs, and Karl Anthony Towns got his lunch money stolen by Clint Capella.
That was like what, year 2, year 3? Cat?
No, that was like year 5. Cat was
Was
a
How
yes.
long has
Year
Cat
3,
been in the
Cat.
league for? Jesus.
He's been in the league since 2015. 2014 to 2015, that was his draft.
That was year 3, Cat.
No, 2014 was
Year
Jabari
3,
and
Cat?
Wiggins.
Cat was
All right.
2015.
All right, still young as hell, but still year 3.
2016.
2014 was Wiggins. 2015 was Cat. So he's in year 3. The Knicks are mid. Let's move on.
Oh, shit.
So let me look at this cat.
That was rude, John. It's not really normal of you.
It's subjective.
I respect
I
that.
love that John disappeared for the last like 5-ish minutes to go
He went
put
to go
on
to
his George
Steelers
Pickens jersey.
We
No,
should have
Cat-
a real conversation, John. Is Tatum still Paul George?
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yes.
he's not.
John, stop. That
Fucking
takes
idiot.
Indiana Paul
sucks
George.
now.
Indiana
Fucking
Paul
idiot,
George
man.
is arguably top 5.
I
Tatum's
gave you an
arguably top 5.
opportunity, John. I gave you an opportunity to grow as a man.
But what you're missing, Dehls, is that PG was a top 3 MVP candidate. Tatum's never been that. And on top of that, in Indiana, he
How
was
many
taking teams
years?
to conference finals. What do you mean, how many years?
How many years was Paul George a top 3 MVP candidate? How many years?
One time, 2019.
One time.
Tatum
He had
zero.
a shoulder injury. But here's the
So
thing.
we're taking that one
Here's
year.
the thing.
Oh my god.
Before the leg injury, this was a man going toe to toe with the
Let it go.
Phoenix.
Rav, you
John,
can take a horse to the
he-
lake. You can't force it to
John, I am the
you
PG.
know what I mean, bro? Like,
Let it go. Let it go.
Listen,
It takes
listen,
John, let me
these
ask you
guys-
something.
Riv, these guys like to start watching basketball in 2023. They don't know.
Ooh.
You know what's
That's
ironic about
unbelievable.
that? 2022 Jason Tatum's better than 2019 Paul George.
That's not true.
There's-
That's actually not true.
No, it's actually 100%
No,
fact.
that's when we start lying and we can't do that.
No.
That's-
they
Jason
don't
Tatum
know
2022 had a
24.
jump
They only
shot.
know PG-13.
John,
disgust me,
let
John.
me ask
As
you
a man,
something.
you disgust me.
There were 2 moments where the Pacers took the Heat down to the wire in the conference finals. That first year, how many points do you think Paul George averaged in a regular season?
17.
Okay. The second year, how many points did he
21.
average? Okay. What the fuck are we talking about? You acting like he was like 25 a night. Like,
He
what?
was year 3, 17
The
a game. He's
best
still
version
the
of-
best player and team with the conference finals.
Yeah, they had an overall great defense. They
It was
were a
their
great
defense.
defensive personnel.
Oh,
He was
Joel.
the best wing
Oh.
defender.
He was.
Yes, Paul George was. Who was the best rim protector?
Roy
Well, he's
Hibbert,
not rim
Biggie,
protector.
Well, who was their
He's
best
wing.
offensive player? It was
Paul
him.
George.
Come on, listen. They only know PG-13, Riv. They don't know PG-20.
Stop putting
The
me-
best. Hold up. But
So
for
who
one,
they?
the
Like,
best.
it never existed.
No, we
I
can talk
was,
about. we
believe
can
it or
talk
not,
about
it
Paul
was,
George
yeah.
being a-
Nasty, man.
Are you telling me Paul George is a what if?
First of
A little
all,
bit.
John, stop saying we. We are not on the same page. I'm not with this take. Stop saying we. I'll
It's
defend
me against the world.
team.
Die on that hill,
Because
John.
John, the
You
best
don't
version,
know.
All right.
the best version of Paul George was OKC Paul George.
And the best version of Tatum couldn't win Finals MVP.
The best version of Paul George lost in the first round.
Hey, can we
He
stop?
wasn't healthy.
Oh my God.
Tatum lost in
John.
the first round once upon
Next,
two, and he
move
was
on.
healthy.
I didn't want. God, come on.
So let's
Tatum
clarify the
Bears.
cat thing. So
Listen,
Cat
you want me to clarify? I'm not.
No, I
disrespecting
want
Tatum.
no clarification.
Yes,
Let's talk about
no,
Cat.
that is
Oh,
majorly
no.
disrespectful to Jason Tatum.
Listen,
You're
Tatum's
what's
the
wrong
best
with the
player in the
NBA,
world to
John.
me.
You're what's
But
wrong
you
with the
know what?
NBA.
I think that. What's that?
You're what's wrong with the NBA. This type of media. You're what's wrong with it.
Oh, please give me a break.
This new media.
Tatum's
Gotta
not
have a take.
superstar. He's a top five
Gotta be
player,
outrageous.
But at the end of the day,
How are you a
Paul
top
George-
5 player, not a superstar?
It's a clear gap between the top.
Tatum's not a
four and
superstar?
five.
Oh,
John,
God.
are you an idiot? Answer the question.
Tatum's not a superstar. There's 4 superstars in
Tatum's not a superstar. He had
Maybe
40,
three.
12, and
Maybe
8
three.
last
Wait,
night.
hold on.
brother.
Who are your 3 superstars?
It's easy. Jokic, Giannis, and Luka.
So SGA is not a
SGA is not a
superstar.
superstar?
And Shai's 4.
LeBron is not a superstar.
Steph's
mean,
not a
You're gonna
superstar.
Why is
consider his
SGA a
career, yeah,
superstar,
absolutely.
John?
But right
Steph
now,
Curry is not a
Hold on.
superstar.
John. Why is SGA a superstar?
I should
He's
jump
having one of the best guard
beat
teams of
you.
all time. He's number 4 for
Let's
me.
go through Tatum's regular season. Let's go through Paul George.
Hey.
What's that to do with that?
Because that's all SGA got, some regular season moments.
No, he's a great playoff performer. We're gonna see it this year.
Wait,
Listen,
he's got what, 3 rounds under his belt?
Tatum
that's
has
all he's had. He's
has
played
the
well each
all-time
time.
record for points in a game 7, John. Please. Tatum has some moments in the playoffs. Please.
I'm not. Paul George
John,
has
you're
the
being a
moment
He
too.
went tip for
You
tat
guys-
with Giannis.
listen,
Now
this is
John,
the
you're being a
issue. This
fucking
is the
idiot.
issue.
Don't say you're
This
not
is the
disrespecting
issue.
Tatum because Paul George in the biggest moments every time in high level situations he fucking chokes.
Not every time. Most
Not
of
Not
the
every time.
Most.
At the end of the day, I believe Tatum is someone that I fairly acknowledge, but at the same time, I think Paul George underappreciated. At his best, he was a top 10 player in the game. And I think
can't be
there's a team here.
underappreciated, John. If you say shit
There's
like
a team
this,
here.
this is why he's not underappreciated. Because you say
You're
shit-
overrating him.
You are.
Yeah.
John, how
Unfortunately.
many years was Paul George top 7?
3,
No,
2, 3 years.
you're lying.
When
John.
were those
Tatum's
years?
walking into what, year 5, being like a borderline top 5 guy?
Yeah, but listen, you guys really drag on to this for a long time. It was
No,
never a
you say he's not a
longevity thing. It was a
superstar,
peak
bro.
thing. It was never a longevity thing. And he's not a superstar, and that's okay. There's 4 of them.
No,
there.
being a superstar, you got to be more. You got to be good than more than one fucking year, John.
PG is never a superstar. I'm never saying he was, and neither is Tatum.
Wait,
You
why
love to
is
hate on to
Tatum
this.
not
I
a
think there's
You're
4 of
an
them. I hold him
Some
to a
people
higher
are
bar
born
than you.
idiots. Some people learn to be an idiot. I think you learn to be an idiot.
John, this is bad. This is like an
No.
all-time bad one.
John, wait. I have a question. This is a genuine question. So you only look at 4 guys as superstars.
Right now, for the entire season. Steph is
Okay.
not a superstar to start this year. The entire year, so it's 4
John,
LeBron's
that's
not a
just fucking
superstar.
dumb,
LeBron's not a
dude.
superstar.
LeBron's not a
definition?
superstar.
Bro, what's your
Wemby's not a
definition?
superstar.
John, what's your definition of a superstar? Let's ask that first.
There's a lot of things
This
that
should
go
be
into
good.
it. But
Listen,
He
What's
doesn't
your-
know.
what's your
He- he-
criteria?
he don't know vibes, Riv.
I would say if I had to define a superstar, it's a guy that, despite what his supporting cast is, will carry a team to a certain threshold, which is either 50 wins or being able to consistently win you a playoff series. But
The first year SGA
being
was
able to
all
consistently
NBA, his
win
team
you-
was the
I'm
10th
I'm
seed.
finishing my sentence. Or being able to
first year,
consistently
I just
win
wanna
you a
keep
playoff
track.
Well, he
series.
never
Okay,
said
Tatum-
SGA was a
Tatum lives
superstar
in
then.
the
He's
NBA.
saying he's now.
So we know he uplifts. Go on. What else?
His team's stacked, though.
His team, he's been doing this his entire career. It doesn't matter who the fuck is there.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying
Well,
SGA. I'm defending Tatum.
No. When I say he can consistently win you 50 games by himself, in 2021, the Celtics fell to a bottom 2 seed in the playoff standings. That was not him carrying a team to 50 wins.
John,
That was what
John,
Jaylen
look
Brown
at that playoff roster, John. Tell me if SGA is carrying that to a top 2 seed. We were starting Evan fucking Fournier.
You were.
Be serious, John.
Mm-hmm. No, you were.
John, go look up the starting lineup right now. Do you want to go through it?
We don't have the time for that tonight.
John, I don't think it's smart for you to die on the Paul George hill.
Still got a fucking game and dropped 50
against the team that only lost 3 times.
Does Paul George ever have a game like that or no?
We're off the Paul George stuff, please. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have been holding on.
Victory Nets, when they played, lost 3 games. One to Colin Sexton. It took him hitting 11 threes. One of them was to Jayson Tatum in the playoffs, and it took him dropping 50.
If you want to say Tatum's better, I'm fine with that. But I just look at them as two players.
So you don't think Tatum's better?
Thompson
No,
and
Tatum
Romeo
is better.
Langford.
Tatum is better.
Christ.
But they
who is carrying that to a top 2 seed? Who?
Tatum's a superstar, bro.
It was Evan Fournier, Romeo Langford. Help me out.
Thompson, Marcus Smart. Jabari Parker was getting minutes in this series, by the way. Jabari Parker.
Wait, hold up.
But that's focused in the 5 games.
But you're talking about a playoff series and not his starting lineup in the regular season.
You're not
That's
looking at the
unfair.
82 games. Looking at 5
was at the end of the year because of all the injuries. And
I know, but what were the starters though? Who started the most games?
A 5-game sample, and they're all hurt.
It was Kemba. It was JB. It was Tatum.
It was Kemba fucking knee shot.
He averaged like 19 though, or 16, right?
It was but it was
Kemba was terrible.
Year.
Let's not just
he was terrible right after that. He was really bad, but that year he wasn't completely washed just yet.
I will
that
say
year, he averaged 19. It was Tatum, Brown, Kemba, Smart, Evan Fournier, Daniel Tice, Pritchard. This is like I don't know, was getting like 10 minutes a night.
Yeah, young Pritchard.
Tristan Thompson, Jeff Teague, Grant Williams, Semi Ojeleye.
Semi Ojeleye. I haven't heard that.
Aaron Neesmith, like year 1, maybe year 2.
Ooh, Neesmith, very good.
Interesting.
You guys have been hanging on to this for a while. Tatum's the better player to me, but I look at them as 2 guys in the same tier. I don't really think it's that crazy to say. Everyone else does, but that's what I saw with him in 2019 in Indiana. People love to hang on to a take. They love to react to it.
Dude, you just said Tatum wasn't a superstar. What do you mean hang on to a take, brother?
Like John, did you watch the game?
Peter, Steph, or LeBron in that group either?
John, did you watch the game against the Lakers this 1 day ago, 24 hours ago? Did you watch that game against the Lakers?
I've also watched him in the playoffs too offensively.
Say it again?
That's part of it. I've watched him in the playoffs offensively, and that's where I've said, yeah, he's a franchise player, but he's not in that top.
So when he dropped 30, 11, and 6 in the ECF last year, that wasn't enough?
Pacers defense, yes, against a defense that was bottom 5.
It's just always something.
Look,
John, against Milwaukee's defense.
All
right, John. Against Milwaukee's
Listen,
defense.
I'm not going to argue with stupidity. We can move on. I'm straight.
It's gone from a Celtic fan.
So, I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm far from a Celtics fan. Jayson Tatum, against one of the best defenses in the league at the time, the Milwaukee Bucks, he went out there band for band with arguably the best in the world and beat him on Giannis's home court.
Question. So, John, based off your criteria, is Cade a superstar?
I think he's getting there. He's entering the Tatum discussion. Guys are 5 to 10.
He's entering the Tatum
superstar, yes or no?
He's a top 15 player this year. He's all NBA for sure. I'd have him second team.
John, I asked you this question earlier. I'll ask you it again. What else does Tatum have to do?
Just have a more efficient offensive playoff run to me in that crucible. Once he does that, you can put him into that same tier. But I look at everything else he does defensively, the rebounding, the playmaking. That's his best case. I want to see his scoring come together in the playoffs. And once it does, with those other 3 factors, I'll put him in that superstar.
So are you telling me that for most of his playoff career, that scoring hasn't come together, or just in this recent run?
In the most recent couple of years.
I was just looking up something.
Yeah.
So the other runs, you're not holding
don't
weight
look anything
in this
up,
discussion.
Bro. You're good.
Not as much. His first couple of years, I think he was right there. But
okay, he's right there, Dehls.
Wait, so he's 5th in the league to you? Like,
hey,
I mean,
he's
the
right
next
there.
closest player. My criteria is a lot more stringent, a lot more tough to get into than your guys is, but he's still
fucking clearly. If LeBron and Steph aren't superstars, John.
True. This is currently right now this season. It's
LeBron James has been one of the 5 best in the world this season.
You're saying the Lakers are better without him 3 months ago off the floor. You will. That's okay. Can we move on to DK Metcalf? I got a lot of homework. I got a lot of homework to do tonight. So DK Metcalf.
I said the Lakers are better without LeBron
a long time ago.
Yep. He edits everything, bro.
I would say that, John.
No, it was not on the show. It was not on the show. It was behind the scenes.
Ooh.
I remember that.
Doesn't sound right.
Because their plus
You're a
minus was
LeBron
better with them off
fan.
the floor. You're saying
I'm a
LeBron
Lakers
fucked
fan
up everything
because
he's
of
off
LeBron.
when he's on. It's okay. I think this is where we pivot to football.
John,
No,
you
no,
know,
no,
John,
John,
you
no,
know.
No, because now you've gone
John,
and
you
shifted
started the
the ball
war,
to me.
brother.
Mistake.
I got a lot of
So
homework.
LeBron
to do tonight,
James,
bro.
let's
Bro,
say
I got a lot of homework to do
let's
tonight, bro.
live in this world, John.
I don't got much
John
time.
doesn't got time for this combo.
I don't got time for
I got
this.
a lot
He's-
of stuff to do
John,
tonight.
let's live in this world where I said the Lakers are better with LeBron James. Let's live in that world. I'm dumb as fuck then. Clearly, right, John? I'm stupid as fuck.
No, I don't think
That
I think you're
means
smart.
We're
but-
both stupid
I
as
think
fuck.
you're smart. I'm
people can
dead.
say dumb
No,
things.
because then it makes it seem
Smart
like
people
LeBron
say dumb
proved
things.
both of us
Yo,
that
John
we
is
don't know
cooking.
basketball, and that LeBron James is still, when healthy, one
Yeah,
of the
top 10
5
player.
to 6 best players
Yeah.
in the world. Correct?
I
That
don't
would
mind
make
that.
that
Yeah,
the
it's fine.
case.
But 3 months ago, you're saying when their plus minus is better with them off the floor, that he fucks up everything that's in the game. as a
No,
joke.
that's not even what I
And that was-
said. I don't
was
give a
12 months
fuck
ago.
about plus minus.
I'm quiet, but when I listen to something, I can remember it.
John got that
Oh,
crazy
He's
memory.
not cooking. Y'all are
Um,
casting air.
Overweight.
He's not cooking.
Johnny.
Plus minus is irrelevant to me when it's LeBron.
John trolling, bro.
Oh,
John,
man.
quick question.
What's up?
Would you say Luka is an efficient playoff performer?
Oh, you look deep. He hasn't been last year and a half.
Okay, because just
That's some injuries.
career-wise, Luka is about 57% true shooting throughout his
Right.
playoff career. Tatum last year was a little bit lower, 55. The year before,
What's the name for
59.
his
The year
career,
before
Guy?
that, 56. So he's been basically what Luka's been throughout his career, true
I hear
shooting
that.
wise.
I think you make a good. Is Tatum's higher for his career?
Huh?
Is Tatum's career true shooting higher than Luka?
Tatum's at 56.6. Luka's
That's
at like
a little bit
57
lower.
flat.
Part of like what
57
I
either.
what part of what I use to kind of judge a superstar too is what you're doing with the supporting cast you're given. And a lot of those years with Luka, when Kristaps wasn't healthy, it was so thin the shot creation after him that his load was kind of unrealistic for most stars to handle.
Yeah, I mean, when he had like one
So-
real run, for sure.
How about Tatum going
One-
to the
one real
finals in
run.
What do you mean?
2022 with that supporting cast?
What did you forget about what Luka did to the Clippers twice? It was a first round series, but he was a mega
was
star in
dog.
those series.
That
What are you
was
talking about?
with-
Absolutely.
Tim Hardaway
Yep.
kind of serving as that extra second
Y'all
half.
remember the fourth quarter?
There's a reason why Luka in the playoffs is second in points per game. Where does Tatum rank in the playoffs in points per game? In the hundreds?
I know where Luka ranks in titles. 0, buddy.
Oh wow. You mentioned true shooting percentage. Now we're talking about playoff performances. Let me ask you. Luka 57% true shooting. What's his points per game average in the playoffs? Luka, you got it in front of you.
What do you need?
What's Luka's points per game average in the playoffs?
This is so
Oh,
funny.
fine.
Jesus Christ. It's like 28.
Can't find it.
Okay. What's Tatum's?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, come on. It's like
Well, the thing is, like Tatum was
30
making
to
the
20,
playoffs
24.
like off rip his rookie year when he's averaging like an 18. Even though he led the team in scoring his rookie year.
you know Luka made the playoffs in his second season, right?
Yeah, Tatum did his
What's
rookie
the
year.
highest offensive rating
Tatum
ever
was
at that point?
24 points per game in his career.
Was Tatum the best player on the team his rookie year, or was Kyrie Irving?
In the playoffs, it was Tatum.
No. In the regular season, Kyrie
In the
Irving
playoffs.
led that team, brother.
In the playoffs, it
In
was
the
Tatum.
regular season,
In the
Kyrie
playoffs,
Irving
it
led
was
that team.
19.
What are we
It took
talking about?
LeBron to 7 games. He was the best player in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
Oh, I
his
agree
rookie
with you.
year, it was a committee. Jalen Brown
He led the
had
team in
They
scoring.
over here arguing about one ring.
he led the team in scoring, averaging what, 18?
19.
19? What did Jalen Brown average?
Losers.
I could look it up.
They had Rozier averaging 15 plus points per game. Now it's a committee, bro.
Rozier played well for sure.
They had multiple contributions that playoff run.
What's the next topic, man?
It is
DK.
DK Metcalf. And number 14 belongs to George Pickens. But DK Metcalf, we'll see what number he has. Now, DK was traded to the Steelers. The Steelers gave up a 2nd round pick and they swapped 7th round pick and a 6th round pick. So a 6th round pick goes to the Seahawks. And then they instantly paid him 5 years, 150 mil, 30 million per season.
Woo.
I think this says a lot of things. I mean, number one, the Steelers don't have a quarterback yet. So I think that's the most important thing that they need to solve. But this is interesting from a stylistic perspective. DK Metcalf and George Pickens are both top 5 in terms of goal routes ran and for the entirety of the season. You look at their just deep targets overall and how they line up, like wide alignment, DK is at 86.4%. That's second in the NFL. Pickens is at 77.9%. That's ninth in the NFL. And on 20-plus yard targets, DK has 32, tied first, and Pickens is at 31, and that's third. So these two receivers are used in a similar way. It makes me wonder what the roles are going to be. Are they just going to run them on similar route concepts, or is somebody going to play more on the inside? DK was very frustrated with his role, all things considered, last year in Seattle. So maybe he wants an entire role change. But I think DK Metcalf is a good wide receiver. I don't think he's a great wide receiver. I think he's a little bit overrated because he can just run deep routes. And I think in an offense like the Chargers, it would have been perfect because Ladd McConkey can do all the other stuff, and DK just has to worry about running deep. But looking at DK Metcalf, like his intermediate targets and the efficiency on them and on short targets, he is one of the most inefficient players in the NFL, and so is George Pickens. These are two players that when they get targeted in the intermediate and short areas of the field, DK ranks 54th in EPA per target. Pickens is 72nd in EPA per target on intermediate routes, and DK 75th in separation, and Pickens is 72nd in separation out of 84 wide receivers. So this is very much like two receivers who do the same thing. I think all this signals to me is that they have little faith in George Pickens long term, and this is very much a prove-it year for him. And DK gets paid. I think, having at least a reliable receiver in there helps because Pickens is not reliable because of his attitude. But overall, like, does this change my outlook on the Steelers? Not much. I just think the quarterback play is just a major question still.
Absolutely. This trade was definitely one that caught me by surprise. As a Steeler fan, I expected us to use that 52nd overall pick on a receiver in the draft on day 2. Steelers are a team that's notorious for drafting well at the position, but this was all built up over the last couple of weeks of the season where George Pickens missed some time, and he comes back in the Chief game. We lose on Christmas Day, doesn't have a great game. And the following week, with a chance to win the division still at home versus the Bengals, he has 3 drops, -1 yards, and 1 catch in a game where he was really not himself at any point. And it kind of was that moment in time as a Steeler fan where it was a reality check that for as great as Pickens can be, and for all of his highs, which have been pretty incredible. I've watched this guy have 195 receiving yards in the game. There's still that floor with Pickens and that maturity that he needs to grow from. And so when the Steelers make this type of move to me and they give DK Metcalf a 5-year contract for $32 million APY, it signals that they are a lot more comfortable and confident paying DK that money. And to me, it's a make or break year for Pickens to stay in Pittsburgh. And like you highlighted, Joel, how well can they complement one another in the intermediate space? Because Roman Wilson, he was supposed to be drafted to become that, hasn't played a game yet. And Calvin Austin, like Pickens, will be a free agent in a year. So for Pittsburgh, there's a lot of questions with this move to really figure out how well it's going to work. But I disagree strongly. I think Metcalf's underrated. This is a guy that posted 1,300 yards his second year in 2020 and had back-to-back seasons with 10 touchdowns. The last couple of years with Shane Waldron and Ryan Grubb, all the receivers there have been disgruntled and frustrated, and none of them have really quite been maximized to go along poor pass protection. Pittsburgh's building a good line. I think Arthur Smith's better than Seattle's had. And if DK is getting this type of faith by the Pittsburgh front office, a team that is historically very stingent on paying receivers, it's a voting confidence that he's going to bounce back after this last season, and I'm pretty excited to welcome him to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, my only issue is who's the quarterback, man? Who's the quarterback going to be? And that's been the issue in Pittsburgh since Big Ben left. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to be the guy? You can get as many receivers as you want. You can go out there, put George Pickens, get DK, grab another wide receiver in the draft, but who's going to be the guy throwing them the ball? And I think that's been a thing that's been lacking in terms of just not having that consistent guy at the quarterback position. I mean, Pittsburgh has been a middling team for a while now in terms of just they're a team that wins 10 to 11 games, probably 9. They'll get to the playoffs, get to the first round, and then they'll lose in however fashion, particularly ass-whooping fashion, but they'll lose in the first round. But getting DK, it's weird because, like you mentioned, they weren't really on the market for him. I felt like they were, trying to build that O-line up. They're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. They've been in talks to potentially get Aaron Rodgers, but then I saw a report saying he might go to the Giants. So they're trying to figure that out. Then they just wall out and trade for DK, somebody who's been disgruntled, also had his own issues with the offensive coordinator in Seattle, his issues last year in terms of his maturity, and he's a little bit older than Pickens. I feel like both guys are really talented. I'm with you, Joel, in the sense of I think DK is a good wide receiver. I don't think he's a top 15, top 20 guy, but I think George Pickens has some untapped potential looming. He just has to figure out his maturity issues, and he has to be a better leader on the field. But definitely interesting to see how a Pittsburgh offense, which hasn't been the most well-organized offense, it hasn't been the most well-organized machine over the past couple of years. How do they manage DK's personality, Pickens' personality, and their play styles, especially with no idea of who their quarterback's going to be? But Pittsburgh's trying to make the right moves. You paid DK $150. That's cool, I guess, giving him $30 million. I just felt like this move kind of is a move to add on talent and not really and worry about the fit later. Just bring in as much talent as you want and then figure out the fit.
Fit is a little weird. These do feel like two receivers that lap over each other a lot in terms of what they're great at and what their weaknesses are, as Joel pointed out with some of the numbers. Like DK is not a superstar. He's not a superstar. So we're not going to sit here and act like you just get this top 5 level dude. Now he's shown at times, like John mentioned in year 2, to be able to play at a really high level. But it's also been some years where DK has played at that level. 10 touchdowns, as you mentioned, John. Those are impressive. But I think this past year, I was a bit surprised Ryan Grubb got fired. I didn't think he was terrible in terms of being a play caller. I feel like the offensive line was the biggest issue there. And if you want to say offensive line sometimes goes back to play calling, it goes back to coaching in general, not being able to coach those guys up, that's fine. But I also saw that he found out relatively quickly, halfway through his first year calling plays that, JSN is by far and away our most talented player. And once JSN became the focal point of the passing game, we saw his numbers go crazy. And now I don't think anybody is taking DK Metcalf over JSN after coming into this season. After JSN's rookie year, it probably didn't feel that way. So I was a bit surprised, even though I probably shouldn't have been at the contract. Now, the guaranteed money hasn't come out yet, unless I've just missed it, but I haven't seen anything in terms of guarantees. So if it's 150 million and 70 million is guaranteed, I don't think that's as big of a deal compared to like if $100 million is guaranteed, then it's like, okay, you're really locked in with this guy for probably 3 or 4 out of these 5 years. So that's going to matter more than the actual, total. But I think what Riv said is partially true, is that the Steelers need talent desperately, right? This is a team that has been putting out some really questionable wide receiver cores for the last couple of years, opposite of George Pickens. And this is a team that historically has been so great at drafting and developing talent that they haven't really been hitting on outside of Pickens, most notably. So what I think they're going to do at quarterback, Justin Fields is going to be a Jet. I think Russell Wilson throwing those moon balls to George Pickens and DK Metcalf, that feels like a match made in heaven to me. I don't know about you, John, because Justin Fields, we already chatted on the phone. He doesn't want to go to y'all. He feel like you guys did him dirty. And you guys don't fucking respect him as a quarterback. He doesn't want to deal with that bullshit anymore. So I think he's going over to New York. But overall, second-round pick, $150 million. It was pricey, but for a guy that is as young as he is and gives you the athleticism that you really can't find, athleticism and size combo, being 6'4", being able to, beat corners one-on-one down the field. I know his contested catch numbers, it was like sub 40% last year. It wasn't 30. Pretty for the size he is, but you think with his frame, especially what he can do after the catch, how fast he is, just, he could take a slant to the crib, even though he doesn't do it often. You have to hope there's some untapped potential there.
I'm surprised nobody said that the Steelers should have been in the sweepstakes for Geno Smith. And if somebody did, then I apologize for not listening. Geno Smith, the fact that he went for a 3rd-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders, that should have been the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you ask me. Now, instead, they trade better draft compensation for a position that's definitely of need. I get where you're coming from. Like, it wasn't the first thing that popped out at you, but I always felt they did need a number 2, and that was kind of evident last season. So now you have 2 firm wide receivers. The issue is now you're paying one $30 million a year, and now it's more than likely that George Pickens will not be returning back to the team once he's done with his first contract. I think that the Steelers had a missed opportunity here. Geno Smith definitely would have made me feel a lot more optimistic, not only if I'm a Steelers fan, but just going in purely unbiased, looking at their situation for this upcoming season. We talk about how great of a move it was for the Raiders. We like Geno's skill set. We think that he's a lot better than what the numbers do say. Extremely accurate, just was put in a pretty terrible situation given that offensive line. I think that where now you have DK Metcalf, giving up a second-round pick for him, I didn't hate. When I heard that it was going to be lowered from a first-round pick to a second-round pick, I thought that was fair. That's where I thought that my Broncos might step in. When I heard that it was $30 million for 5 years, that's where, of course, that's where I started to look at this and not feel as optimistic as I did prior to hearing when the money came out. It'll be interesting to see who plays quarterback for you guys. Again, a missed opportunity not going at Geno Smith, but again, at least there's a strong foundation that if you do go ahead, you bring Russell Wilson back into this offense. You know he's had strong rapport with DK Metcalf. Obviously, last year with George Pickens, even if the two didn't get along the best, I still look at this situation and think that this is a team that can still win 9 games.
Yeah, and looking at DK's skill set, I'm just going to share a video file here. I feel like this is what he offers that George Pickens doesn't. I feel like George Pickens wins in contested catch situations, but I think DK is really good in like these subtle double move routes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to see like he's over here on the bottom of the screen and he's just really excels at just moving very fluid on these deep routes down the field. And I think,
boy, that shit was
230.
yes, this is something that I think George Pickens doesn't offer. He's more of a contested catch artist. So I think DK brings a level of athleticism that the Steelers do need. And I'm curious to see like if this is on Sauce Gardner. I'm curious to see if that DK is just using a different way, if he can be better, you know. And this is from the end zone angle, just the catch he had on Sauce. I thought it was pretty good. I think he shows a good ability to track the ball, but this is where I get frustrated at Geno, and this is where like we talk about the contested catch situations. I was tracking it earlier. He went 2 for 8 on them, and that's 25%. This is against Pat Surtain. Yeah, he's a great corner, but he usually doesn't come down with these balls like that. And I'm going to skip this one because I feel like this is an even better example. So where this throw is a little bit underthrown, but DK has it, and then he just drops it. And I feel like on film but there's too many times where it looks like this, where you have a perfectly thrown ball, it's in his hands, and when he just gets contacted to the ground, he just drops the ball.
I mean, like you got to understand that, in my opinion.
Take a shot. I feel like the one before, I feel like Geno could have put it a little bit more out there. It would have been a clean one, and he could have
I think
this one, he takes a lick.
Yeah, but I feel like the 6'4", I want you to make that catch. I think he should definitely haul it in. It's a hard catch. You know, contested catch situations are always going to be very difficult, but that's kind of just like what I see from DK Metcalf and where he could just be better at. And we'll see if he's used differently. I think if he's used differently, then maybe he'll realize his potential with Mike Tomlin. But, you know, clearly quarterback play was not an issue in Seattle. So I'm kind of curious to see if it's more of the offensive fit with DK and trying to see if he'll be better in Pittsburgh.
I'm excited about it, man, because I think Pittsburgh needs something, and I get it. Like,
I hope they get nothing.
DK's personality is a little bit off. George Pickens' personality is off the fucking wall. It gives me young boy vibes. But definitely, I think you need a veteran at quarterback. You know, I think that's really the circle, like on the board. Like, who's going to be the quarterback for a DK Metcalf who gets frustrated fast, and then a George Pickens who still is finding his way in terms of his maturity in the league. I mean, he fights damn near every game, and he's talking crazy. He's grabbing somebody's mask. He's throwing tantrums off the field. So who's going to be able to control all that? That's what I'm curious about.
We got another veteran wide receiver move. Davante Adams goes to the Rams. 2 years, $46 million, and only really 1 year of this is fully guaranteed. He got guaranteed $26 million. So really 1 year and like a couple games of his second season. I'm more excited about this move than DK to the Steelers personally. I think Davante Adams unlocks his skill set that Cooper Kupp didn't have. He lined up wide almost 57% of the time. Cooper Kupp was like in the 30th percent. So I think now having Davante line up out wide Puka Nacua can be used in more favorable matchups. Puka Nacua, people view him as like a slot guy, but both his seasons in the NFL, he's lined up wide more than in the slot. And I think with getting Davante Adams, you can now free Puka up more because he'll get more of those favorable looks that Cooper Kupp oftentimes got. So I think this is going to be a great move. I think it makes them one of the 5 best passing offenses in the NFL. And I think this drastically improves them.
Yeah, I love this. I said it on the prediction show that I would much rather sign Davante Adams to a 2-year contract than give up a second-round pick and $150 million for DK Metcalf. It's a pretty obvious upgrade over Cooper Kupp, who was kind of a shell of himself towards the end of the season there. You know, he did deal with an injury pretty early on this season. He's someone who's dealt with lower body injuries, what feels like throughout basically his whole career. But those couple of years in between when he's healthy and doesn't have those injuries, we could see the type of seasons that Cooper Kupp's able to put up. But unfortunately, at this point of his career, those days are probably behind him. You know, he's going to get traded. Now that you signed Tate, it's basically guaranteed that he will get moved on. He will get traded. I still think there's a role for him in certain systems, but I do worry a bit if he's not in a system with a top-level offensive mind like a Sean McVay who knows how to move him around and get him different advantages, that he's going to struggle some in different positions, right? Like, for example, if he went to Pittsburgh and it's Arthur Smith there and whatever at quarterback, I think we're looking at Cooper Kupp having like a 700-800-yard season, even if he's able to stay healthy. So it's important that whatever team trades for him has to have a plan for him. And Cooper Kupp's at the point of his career where it's probably going to take a day 3 pick. So it's not like you're working your entire offense around him. He's more so going to be a complementary piece. That's a whole nother discussion, but Davante Adams is awesome. I still think Davante Adams is one of the, top 10 to 15 receivers in football. This Rams passing attack when it was healthy last year was fantastic. They took the Eagles down to the wire. When they're able to stay healthy these last couple of seasons, they've been a problem. They just got off to some slow starts because of injuries. Then they make these crazy comebacks in the second half of seasons. Sometimes they, win playoff games. Sometimes they lose playoff games. But down the stretch, they're always good. And what they've been able to prove these last couple of years is they could fucking draft. Like they've said, fuck them picks for the first 3-4 years of, this Les Snead kind of regime when they were really going for it with Stafford. But this past season, they showed that they could hit on picks in the first round, but they could also hit on picks day 2 and day 3. So if you're able to pick up, a 4th round pick for Cooper Kupp, the Rams could probably turn that into a starter. And that's just another year for all of these guys from past draft class to develop, bringing a whole new slew of guys who have proven to, be able to work once they get to the Rams and be able to be developed, be able to be coached. So I think it's a great move for the Rams. I think it's a smart move for what a lot of other guys are going for and what a lot of other guys are getting paid. Davante Adams is about as good of a deal that's out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tay still got it, man. I think the Rams offense is electric. I think him and Sean McVay are going to have great chemistry just because of the fact that Davante Adams can still get open at a high rate. He can still work the middle of the field. He can still work the angles. He can still work in the slot on the outside, and now you have a guy who I think is better than Cooper Kupp that can now line up next to Puka Nacua and kind of give Matthew Stafford more opportunities. Davante Adams is still, like you mentioned, Dehls, one of the 10, 15 best receivers in the world when he's on his game. And I think for the Rams, this is something that keeps them in contention. The Rams they wanted to keep Stafford. They were able to keep Stafford. They want to remain competitive in the Stafford era, maybe have a chance at winning it because they were just a game away from the conference championship. A year before, they took the Lions to hell in the first round of the playoffs. This team is always hanging around, and this is after starting both years in the regular season, struggling, and then kind of having their hot streak late in the year. So this team, and like you mentioned, they drafted really well last year and bringing in a high-end, edge rusher and then bringing in Fisk. Like this team has a solid young defensive line. It's all about just continuing to build through the draft. And I think bringing in Tay brings a different energy to this team. And then they still have Kyron. They still have Puka. Stafford, we believe, is still going to play at a high level. So the Rams are dangerous. They didn't really leave the fold in terms of top NFC teams, but they're only adding on to the resume or adding on to the team just to be able to compete and be able to be one of the best teams in the NFC next year.
Let's move rocks. You get Davante Adams and you move on from Cooper Kupp and you're like, man, we move on from Cooper Kupp. Like, we have to fall off. No, we're going to get Tay. That's pretty sick, if you ask me. I look at the deal that they were able to get him to. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Matthew Stafford, it's really you go as far as your tenure with Matthew Stafford, and it makes sense for Davante Adams to try and give it one more run at really being a part of a high-level offense and also being a part of a team that can potentially contend to not just make it out the NFC, but also win the whole thing. Davante Adams still has some in the tank. We saw it last year with the Jets, although they weren't the most successful team. He still had some pretty great moments. And with Matthew Stafford, I don't expect to see anything but success, especially with how loaded this offense is. We've all said it. You have Puka Nacua, one of the premier wide receivers in the game. Kyron Williams in this league is one of the better running backs that they have as well. You can just solidify that offensive line a little bit more. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, one of the best play callers in Sean McVay, and Dehls. Perfectly said, because it's something that everybody knows, but you need to talk about it more. This is a team that knows how to draft from the first round to the last pick that they have. They really make the most of their drafts, and really that's been the nucleus as to why they've built such a strong team so quickly. And coming after a season of losing Aaron Donald, we anticipated that this defensive line would be poor, but they hit on their first two picks with Verse and Fisk, and now we're talking about one of the better younger defensive lines in football. It's just a matter of cleaning up the margins. What is Cooper Kupp going to go for? Where is he going to go? Are they going to release him? I feel like if that's the case, if they release him, now I look at my Broncos and think that it becomes essential that we bring him along. We bring him on for whatever it takes, because if we don't have to take the contract that he has from the Rams, now it's in our hands, in our ballpark, to go out there and make sure that he is a Denver Bronco. But just strictly talking about Davante Adams, this is one of the best moves of the offseason. Didn't see it coming. But again, it's just the Rams being the Rams and just being one of the better franchises.
Cooper Kupp just screams Eagle to me. Just get released, show up, come to work, do your thing, man.
You guys
There's
have
a
not.
couple. It would be, he is a Carolina Panther. That's one that I would not be surprised at. The Patriots come to mind, and Green Bay. Those four teams, those are ones that I look
He
out
wants
for.
to win a ring.
If
He gets
he goes-
released, yeah, I think he's going to want to win.
Is Thielen still with the Panthers? Yeah.
He is.
Well, if
I'm
Cooper
like
Kupp
ninth.
goes there, that's the slowest wide receiver core in the league.
Let's see.
Not excited.
As for the Rams, though, Joel, I mean, I'm sure you're going to feel the same exact way. This is a perfect move for them to upgrade. And we all, I think, overlooked just how close they were last year. The Eagles cruised to a Super Bowl, and the Rams were their toughest matchup far and away in that playoff run. And with how well they've drafted defensively, you hit on it. Their defense continues to get better and better. And offensively, it is such, I don't know what Dehls said. What did he say?
He says,
He said that you disgust him.
Defensively speaking, they have everything
Aren't
to bolster up that offensive line. With the Stafford extension, you can easily make a case to the top 3 team in the NFC. They're right there this year, so it's going to be a fun group to watch.
John reminds me of Jimmy Brooks.
I don't know who that is.
It's Drake's character in Degrassi.
Jimmy Brooks was a loser, man.
Nah, he wasn't. He was a basketball player. He got paralyzed though because somebody shot him.
He was black.
Yeah.
Why does he remind you of John? Like I don't know the correlation. I watched Degrassi.
Where'd you
What
get
about John remind you of Drake?
that?
He's sharp. He's sharp. He's witty.
Dehls, why do you despise me?
He stands on his cojones.
I mean, he
What did I
lied.
do, Dehls?
We allowed him to lie on camera. Nothing witty
No, I
about
was
it.
just speaking the truth. Dehls, why do you despise me?
I didn't know. I don't despise you.
What do you say?
You just
You said
disgust me.
disgust.
You disgust.
Why
There's a
disgust
huge
you?
difference. Despise is so personal. Disgust is just like it's more surface level, but it's like, come on, bro. Despise feels a little more deep rooted. It's not that deep.
Did I do anything? Did I upset you?
No, just in general.
Did I upset you?
Rams, baby.
I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. So we got some super chats. Des Brown goes, just finished episode 464. You guys have been locked in.
That's my cousin.
Drop the new schedule, man.
Shout out.
Drop it live right now. Tell them the new schedule.
I capped. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. So we're recording Sunday nights, then Tuesdays, then Thursdays, and Fridays. So you guys get 3 to 4 podcasts a week. Now,
Don't
Jay
miss.
Clark goes, how does Jonathan Kuminga have a 4-month ankle sprain? Did they amputate his ankle?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Who
He's a
knows?
warrior guy. What's the
You've
deal,
been
man?
playing good. I don't even think about him. sometimes.
Damian Delgado goes, how did you guys meet John since he's so much younger than you all?
Mm.
Also, who does Booker help the most if he gets traded? Rockets, Magic, or Pistons?
Detroit.
Magic.
Come to
Magic or
Detroit.
Pistons?
Detroit.
I'm going to go with the Rockets.
How'd you meet John?
Good question.
He
I had
emailed the pod guys, like your work. Really would be awesome if I could be a part of it. Joel was interested. He said, all right, let's give this guy a try. He seems like a
Young
nice sweet boy
whippersnapper.
from Waldwick. Did I get it right?
Basically, yeah.
Why do you look so upset that he said it? Like,
I just told the story.
He told the story.
That's honesty.
it is, man. Listen,
Something John doesn't know too much about.
DJ the Tatum stand goes, oh well. My glorious King Tatum dropped 40 on that
Fuck
fat
DJ.
bad back bum
Oh,
and
oh,
boast
okay.
about having 40-year-old fake goat.
bad, fat.
That's
bad,
kind of
Second,
rude.
second half of that message, I didn't read that when I said talk. The first half. spit.
Snipes goes, Tatum loses that game. Is he's trash. Luka plays shit. It's he's injured. He was fine versus New York. Soft.
Ooh.
He was fine versus New York. Damn it, he looked good.
Oh, he was clearly hurt though.
That's a
against
man.
the-
Was Luka
the
hurt in the
Celtics.
fourth when he was cooking? I didn't see him limping, doing nothing in that fourth when he was
Yes,
cooking.
he
That
is
New
just
York
so
defense
great.
do that to you, brother. It's dog shit.
Skylar Samuels goes, if there was a star Denver should pursue to get Jokic some help, who do you think would take them to the next
KD.
It
level?
should have been, oh my God, Zach LaVine. Should have been Zach LaVine. KD, okay. But it should have been Zach LaVine. He was
They need
available.
a two-way player.
I'll be honest. Zach LaVine is so much better than Jamal Murray. You should have traded him.
You know who that player would have been?
Not
A guy
crazy.
like Wiggins. A guy like Wiggins would have been perfect for Denver.
I like Wiggins there.
That is good. Good call, John.
He's a superstar.
Damian Delgado, Giddey is Joel's new Hallie. 2-month wonder. We got him.
Respect Hallie, please.
Yeah, this is disrespectful. This is you're hating on Hallie like Riv now.
I haven't said a word.
I know what you're thinking, buddy.
He's excited to watch Hallie. Don't forget that.
I'm super excited, man.
He's excited to hate on him. Freola 33. You would think I ate a honey pack with how hard my shit was watching the Jay shows. Who's the better duo? Tell that hookah hippo to improve his cardio.
Hookah Hippo's crazy.
Hookah Hippo is insanity.
No, fuck all that. The honey pack.
Nah, he's talking
get it.
though.
He is talking.
I
I'm
get
I
not-
love the Jays take it personal, man. When they say Luka,
They
they
do.
take it personal.
Yeah,
Jay
it's so
Clark-
personal that they treat yesterday's game like a game 7. I mean,
Jay
y'all need
Clark-
help, bro.
Goes, I've been heel on Cat. Joel, please leave my fan base. Oh my
WJ Clark.
fucking
WJ.
God.
WJ.
Look at this crybaby Knicks
WJ.
fan.
WJ.
Crybaby.
That's what-
Nathan Cashwell goes, why doesn't Spider get the respect he deserves from the media?
It don't
I mean,
matter
Riv
if they
is a
wanna
part
chip
of the
Riv.
media, and
Why?
Riv said the other day that Mitchell was a tier above Jayson Tatum.
He did say that.
Tear
Yes.
up.
You said
Yes.
you trust him more in the fourth quarter too.
No, Riv. Yeah, stop.
TikTok.
Wait.
TikTok.
Wait.
But he wasn't with me
Oh,
on
but it's
Paul
TikTok.
George, but he was with Paul George
You
fan.
in the TikToks? You guys are fucked up.
What do you mean? That's your digital footprint.
I said D-Mitch was a tier above. I said that.
Yo, it's one of the nastiest comments made this season.
A tier above.
You said that. You said he's a tier above.
Dehls, does he disgust you?
was in the TikTok.
Yeah,
Was it
yes,
in the
well,
TikTok?
There's
Wait.
a lot of reasons.
Oh,
why
it's
Riv
even.
does
It's
that.
even. Okay.
Was it in the TikTok?
Yeah.
It wasn't a TikTok.
Yes.
The pre-recorded TikToks?
It's
Yes.
TikTok.
Those don't count. Those don't count.
Evan Mobley playing defense like that. When you have DeAndre Hunter hitting shots like he's been
Oh,
doing,
yeah, those don't
then you
count.
have Donovan Mitchell, you have Ty Jerome, Darius
Thing is
Garland,
before
Max
that.
Strus,
Garland gonna
Kenny
show up?
Atkinson
Ever?
doing this thing.
Garland
Like,
gonna
when
show
you
up?
have
Ever?
all of these
Garland
guys
ever
and
gonna
all
show
these
up?
pieces,
So you're
you're
stamping
playing
the
well.
Cavs going to the
I'm
finals.
stamping it. The Cavs are going to the finals. They're going to host the ECF because they can't seem to catch up, and the Cavs are going to be walking to the finals.
Oh, I sold. I didn't play the right part of the clip.
Yeah.
I heard
No, I
that.
was waiting.
Those don't count. I
It
see
does
those reactions.
AD goes, Nuggets are 2-9 versus good teams, and SGA outperforms Jokic in advanced metrics while being a better defender. Hashtag stat pad Joker needs Wizards or Pistons.
John, you're a
Hashtag
Nuggets
Finals
fan.
MVP.
The Suns almost single-handedly won Jokic the MVP.
Dead ass.
They're so bad.
Go up against
Teak
Plumlee every damn game.
X goes, Giants need Shador. He got number 1 IQ in the draft.
Okay.
Okay.
might
IQ
get him.
matters.
IQ matters.
IQ.
IQ is important.
Santos goes, Joel is a Chiefs, Chargers, and now a Raiders fan.
Damn.
This is disgusting,
Ooh.
Joel.
Just be a Bronco fan. Just finish out, finish off all four.
Ooh. Man, if the
Raiders fan now?
The Raiders are
Gino.
an off season away, man. Ooh, maybe. Gino.
You're
no
no longer a Seattle fan.
I like JSN a lot.
Oh my God.
Yo, Dehls, are you gonna welcome me into the Pats fandom? And Riv, are you gonna welcome me into the Bills fandom? I'll move like that.
Nah, you too real. You can't come over here.
Thank you, bro. I needed
I
you to
more.
hold me down like that.
That's crazy.
I like the Seahawks defense even more though. The talent they got, Devon Witherspoon. They just re-signed Ernest.
I wish they would have
Jones.
taken Max Crosby away from the Raiders. That really would have moved me.
Yeah, man. Raiders. We'll see what they do. Big fan of Trey Tucker. Skylar Samuels goes now. Riv's most disgusting comment was saying Bears are going to the Super Bowl next year.
You did say that on the Whistle Sports videos. You said that your bold prediction. Your bold prediction.
Yeah, I had to say that. We have to do shit like that. I don't give a fuck. I'll take that shit. Yeah, I said it. And what? And what? What now? Like,
Riv.
it was wrong. Fuck it.
Well, hopefully the Cavaliers beat the Celtics in the conference finals.
Why are you saying hopefully, bro?
Joel,
Because I
we got
want
to
them to
watch the
beat
first
them.
round of the playoffs. We got to watch Pistons
Okay.
Pacers first.
Yes.
We got to get to the second round of the playoffs. We got to watch Cavs, Bucks, and Celtics next. Just wait before you get there, bro. Just wait. We got a lot of good basketball to watch.
Anything
you
can
see-
happen.
Dehls, I'm watching you because you said you was Cade Country. So you should be there, front and center in the first round.
My number one playoff matchup. I'm circling.
Yeah, I'm watching you, bro. If I don't
I
catch
can't
you,
wait to watch Asura Thompson's defense in the
Really cute
playoffs.
three-point shot making. Off
Yeah.
Detroit,
yeah.
Detroit will beat Denver, John. I just want you to know that. Fucking bums.
Please have some respect.
Yeah, Riv, show us an etiquette for once.
Yeah. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you guys want to support the podcast, you can go to Prospects and use code PAS and play $5 to get $50. It helps support the podcast. We're not encouraging you to go and have fun in that way, but if you want to, it can help support the podcast. If you're going to do it anyway, you might as well use our code PAS. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast. You guys can catch us next time. We're going to drop Tuesday, probably Tuesday night. So that's the next time we will be dropping. You can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on TikTok and Instagram at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.